like those of you who realize that the Lord wants you to give generously into His church. Don't ask no questions. Don't ask how come why come the pastor have to have him a nice house? Why come pastor got to have a nice car? Don't ask. I said don't ask. I said don't ask. No questions. Just give the money. That's what God expects from His sheep here at the Greater Ebenezer New Revival Tree of Life Institutional Double Rock on the side of the road to Jericho Missionary Baptist Church. Science. And I say Mount Calvary. Y'all don't tell me.
Preach on, Reverend. Ain't that the truth?
God expects you to do what the Lord wants you to do.
I'll see you next Sunday, Sister Jackie.
Bravo, Pastor. That was a great sermon.
All right there, Derwin. You remember to bring those tithes next week, and your tithes out of the gross, not the net, out of the gross income. You hear?
Sure will, Pastor. See you next Sunday.
my brethren, be strong in the Most High, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand and withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High Yah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1.
Shabbat Shalom to the set-apart family, the Most High Yah. We want to welcome you to another Sword of the Spirit audio biblical teaching broadcast show. We're your hosts, the servants of Yah, and we come to you reading Psalms 104:33, which says, I will sing to Yah during my life. I will sing praises to my Yah while I still exist. So while we still have the breath of life and he has blessed you with eyes that can see, ears that can hear, if you're listening today, you have been drawn to his truth, and the Mashiach has drawn you to the Father, then we want to just take pleasure in knowing today that we're not like the rest of the world who cannot see, who are still blinded. We want to continue to pray for them. But all praises be to the Most High that we are honoring him on his set-apart day. And for everyone who is listening now and those who will be listening long after the recording, we welcome you on this set-apart day of our Father Yah and his Son Yahushua. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my co-host, Prina. Shabbat Shalom, sis.
Shabbat Shalom, sis.
So how are you today?
I'm well. I just got over a nasty flu bug or cold, you might say, and so I'm feeling good on this day, and so I am just praises be to the Most High Yah.
Yeah, this has been kind of difficult week for me, too. Health-wise, it seemed like I was being attacked, especially after last week's show. We had so much difficulty. For those of you who regularly listen, you may have noticed that the show was not up as soon as it normally is. It actually went up 2 days after because I had so much that happened on this end spiritually, preventing this show, precept upon precept that came that we did last week, just preventing that show from being recorded. It took literally 2 days, whereas it normally takes 5 or 6 hours for the show to record and for me to upload it to YouTube. I mean, last week you all didn't know it, but the show just completely just cut off. My computer just completely just shut down. I was on my landline, so I was still able to speak and continue. I continued on teaching, but like I couldn't see anything. Like my computer went blank, and so I continued to keep teaching. And none of you didn't even know that I didn't have any of my notes in front of me. You know how I work the dashboard. I didn't have any ability to do that. It took about like 5 minutes for me to, reload my computer and get back to the website, and all praises be to the Most High that the recording did not stop because of that. And so I said, someone definitely was going to be blessed by that because he did not want that lesson to go forth. Like I never had like that much trouble trying to record, a lesson because I know people were, waiting on it. But we do apologize. It was not. I wasn't sitting back, eating grapes and bonbons with my feet up. I was diligently trying to get this lesson out, but, finally got it out there. I think it went up Tuesday.
Yeah,
normally,
I think it was.
Yeah, normally it's normally up there like later on that night, if not earlier that next morning. So we do want to apologize and just thanking Yah that in the midst of that the recording was not interrupted. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started with our 72nd show. Today's 72nd show is entitled Exposing the Tithing Lie. This is a show many have asked, for me to do, and I had so many other things. I have to be led of the Spirit as far as what it is, it is that Yah wants me to bring forth, and, sometimes I may have, a particular show a teaching that I would like to bring forth, and then Yah redirects me. So as I'm being led of the set apart Spirit, I do so. And so today, the tithing lie, this is one of the biggest lies.
Yeah.
To ever go throughout Christianity, this tithing lie. And, this is a Malachi 3:10, and particularly is the one scriptural verse that is abused. And I call it abuse because it is abuse, and causing or deceiving many into believing that, if they don't tithe to their local institutionalized church, or they don't pay the pastor his salary, that they're not going to be blessed, and thus they're robbing, quote unquote, they're robbing God, if they don't tithe 10% to their church every week. So we want to, answer some questions today. Has Yah required a man to give 10% and more? Because we know these pastors oftentimes, and we're going to be playing an audio clipping today from what happened here in the Detroit area with Pastor Wayne T., who is the pastor of Greater Faith Ministries, and there is a community agency here entitled New Era Detroit. I don't know if any of you seen the video. It's been circulating all over Facebook and all on the news. They basically shut that church down, ambushed them during a time when they attended the service, and I guess it was time for tithes and offering. And we're going to talk more about what happened. I'm going to let you listen to the audio clip, and then we're going to discuss that. But, has Yah required, that we give 10% and even more, to our pastors every Sunday? What was true biblical tithing? Is it still binding for today's believers? And if the so-called religion of Christianity teaches that the law and the so-called, quote-unquote, Old Testament is done away with, then should they be really taking the tithes? If the tithe, if the law is done away with and the Old Testament is old and we don't need to pay attention to that, then why are you going back and grabbing the tithe?
Yes.
That's part of Torah. That's part of the Old Testament. So we're going to be discussing what true tithing really is. Is it binding today? Is it something that we still have to do today? We're going to go in depth with that. And for the State of the Body panel discussion, we're going to, it's entitled Emotional Servitude. One of the most popular messages that the world endorses is follow your heart, or quote unquote, do you. But should our personal desires, our emotions, and that which we preference, should that be the determining factor as it pertains to our walk, as it pertains to walking in obedience and what the word requires of us? Should we be led by our emotions, our feelings, our desires, and that which we preference and value? Can we be a faithful servant is a question that I want to answer today for this State of the Body panel discussion. Can we be a faithful and a steadfast servant of Yah if we're being led by our emotions and feelings? Because a lot of our people, we attach this walk and that which we choose, and the key word is choose to do, based off of how we're feeling. If this is something that feels good, or if it doesn't feel good, then this clearly can't be, of the Most High. And so we're going to discuss the dangers. Well, we're going to not only discuss the dangers of being a servant who's led by your emotions and your feelings, but we want to expose how Satan will use them, because we know that Satan will use your emotions. And we see this being done right now with our people, with what's going on in Charlotte, pulling on the heartstrings, pulling on your emotions. Well, Satan does that too. You know, we're going to expose how Satan uses your emotions, your feelings, and, quote-unquote, trusting in your own heart to not only manipulate the believers into sinning against the Most High, but then also to unknowingly further his kingdom. A lot of our people are furthering this Satan's kingdom, and they have no idea that they're doing so. So we're going to listen to this brief clip, and then we'll be right back. I just wanted to talk for a brief second before you jump in. Like I was saying earlier in the beginning, one of the most popular messages, you know, that we hear in society today is follow your heart. We hear this all the time, follow your heart. I grew up hearing it. You know, we hear it from, you know, loved ones, follow your heart will never lead you wrong. And we know that we live in a culture that has conditioned us to place a high value on our own desires and, you know, how we feel and that which we preference. And we're encouraged to base our life decisions and how we live and the choices that we make based upon how we feel about things or what it is that we prefer or what makes us feel good. Like they said, follow your heart. Do what you feel is best. But we hear, you know, listen to your heart. But if you even listen to the songs, you know, on the radio, the love songs, the movies, you know, the television, entertainment, everywhere we look around, it's do you, follow your heart, do what's best for you, do what feels right. You know, what's the name of that song? I don't want, if loving you is wrong,
I don't want to be right.
Yeah. It's like this, you know.
I had to turn it off the other day, even though, you know, that was a song back in the day, and I'm like, okay, this is not of y'all. Let me.
Yeah, because you know, they might be singing about adultery. You know what I'm saying? Like, loving you is wrong. This might be someone that is not, you're coveting someone that is not rightfully yours to cover, to have. So you like, is loving you is wrong. I don't want to be right. I'd rather be wrong because it feels good to me, you know. But we know that Yah gives us a completely different direction when it comes to our heart and emotion. And that's why he tells us that he who trusts in his own heart is a fool, because he said the heart is deceitful above all things and who can know it. And so we know that his word and his truth is unchanging, and it should go far above what we feel, and we should not be allowing our feelings to lead us and to direct us in the way that we should go. And when you're listening to people who are telling you these things, you end up with, first of all, ungodly or unwise counsel and making decisions that are self-focused, and you're not being led of the set-apart spirit, and then you wonder why your life is a mess. I mean, how many times have we made decisions based off of how we feel, and then afterwards you're like, what was I thinking? Yeah. You know, you were basing it based off of how you feel. And, you know, as we become prone to picking and choosing our truth and receiving the things that make us feel good, then we begin rejecting those things that don't. And unfortunately, that has become rejecting the truth of the Most High. This is the reason why people are calling good evil and evil good. You know?
Yes. And, you know, a hot-tempered man, you know, stirs up strife, but he was slow to anger, quiets contention. And so when you are acting on your emotions, you are quick to draw back to your old ways.
Mm-hmm.
And why I'm saying that is because recently I was faced with a situation, and you know it, on my job,
mm-hmm.
where my emotions had played a lot in how I was going to respond to my boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that if I would have reacted when it immediately occurred, that I would have went back to the old archives. Okay, and I'm just going to be transparent, okay, because she stepped on some toes of my family and my grandson, so I was very angry and heated over the situation, and she knew the situation that I had brought to her into the beginning. And so for her to rescind her decision in the middle of the week without really consulting me, and just left us high and dry, I was very angry, but I didn't react. I waited, and I had to cool off because I knew that if I would have operated, that I would have, one, said some things that I couldn't retract. Two, I had just started the job, so I would have been losing a job. And and three, you know, I'm walking in truth, and so I have to stand on what Yah's word says, and he says that vengeance is his. And so with that being said, it took me months to cool off. And, you know, my daughter approached me, and then I know when you asked me when were you going to speak about it, I'll make mention to her, and I had to say, and I was wise enough to say that I had to wait till I had calmed down. And finally, at the end of the school year, which was in June, because this happened in March, so it took me that long to kind of cool down. I approached my principal, and I asked her, can I speak with her? And then during our conversation, she asked me why I didn't come to her sooner. And I was transparent like I am with you all now. I told her it wouldn't have came out right, and I would have made some choices that would have cost me my job. And I told her that I'm a professional, and so I had to respond in a professional way. And so sometimes, even though we are faced with things that's going to draw out emotions, that's going to take us back to our archives, we have to recognize when Satan is in the midst. And that's why, you know, we are warned to be sober-minded and watchful. For your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. And so when you are acting on emotions, you are allowing the enemy to set you up to sin again. And, you know, and I have changed and turned my life around, and so I know that we cannot act off of our emotions because it will cause you to sin, and then, you know, you back repenting and trying to change your, you know. So when you know and you recognize Satan in the midst, you have to know when to stand on Yah, and, you know, you are to not be anxious for anything, but take it in prayer and give it to the Most High Yah and let Him deal with it, because in the end, He will give you peace, and He will give you what you on how to deal with that situation. But, you know, Shaitan, getting back to what our topic is on our emotions and how our people and are seeking to riot and loot and you know, it's and even our brothers in truth, like, you know, want to you know, go a different route. I mean, we know the truth, and we need to be more out there telling them and warning them, you know, and giving them the truth, whether they hear it or not. But these things that are happening is just to get us all riled up, these false flags and different things that's going on. They're trying to cause martial law, cause the shutdown and state of emergency, which they've
already done it.
Yes, for them, but they're trying to do it nationwide for us.
Well, that's why they're doing it, though.
Yeah, and we need to remember that, a lot of people don't know who they are and that they're Israel and that, the curses that have been placed upon us. And, they looking at it as, why are we going through this? Why are we suffering and why are we having equal, rights? But we're under the punishment. And, in Leviticus 26:17, Yah warned us that he would set his face against us and that he would strike us down before our enemies because we hate him. And meaning when I say hate him, because we kept not his commandments. Because if you love Yah, you would keep his commandments according to 1 John 5:3. But since we turned away from his covenant, we are showing him that we hate him. And so he is striking us 7 times more for the sins that we have committed because we were the one that made a covenant with him, and we did not obey his commandments that he had required within that covenant. And so we are suffering these curses because we turned aside from them. And so a lot of times, since a lot of our people don't know who they are and they don't understand the punishment or the that we are receiving, that they feel like since no one else is hearing them, that they're going to go and react in violence with with looting, like they're going to change the minds of those that Yah has put against us to begin with.
That's the thing. They don't realize it because they don't know who they are. And we get it. I don't want to make it seem like we.
Yeah, I don't want you to. Yeah, we're not facetious or
who they are.
Yeah.
They don't understand who they are, and then even when we do try to share truth, the majority of our people are not going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of them, they will not accept it because they put their trust in their pastor. They're willing to only accept part of Yah's truth.
Yeah.
The part that appeals to them, like the tithes, once we get into that. The part that appeals to them, that's what they accept. They part of Yah's word they believe is dead, okay, the Old Testament. They dismiss the rest. The Old Testament is done away with, So therefore they can't receive the whole counsel of Yah. They don't know who he is.
Yeah.
That's why they've ended up with a distorted truth of their own making. This is why the churches today promote this soft, flimsy good news instead of something that's going to transform them. They don't want it. Yah's truth is unchanging, and as you discussed, he is not a man that he can lie. And so, pastor, just like all these false teachers, they play on the emotions and the personal experiences of the people, okay? They know what the plight that our people have gone through, so they lie to them and they tell them all the things that they want to hear because our people first of all, they have itchy ears. Y'all's already said they want prophets that's going to prophesy to them and tell them good, smooth things. The love of Yah has wax cold. They don't want to hear anything that lines up with the commands of the scriptures and the promises of the scriptures. They don't want that. They want that which is not true. And so when we try to edit the truth, which is what these pastors have done, and then try to mesh them with our own emotions and our preferences, then we're playing right into Satan's hands, just like you said. He's able to manipulate you to sin against Yah, and now you further his kingdom by continuing to teach partial truth, which is still rebellion, which is still witchcraft, and the reason why Saul was, taken down from his position as being over Israel. He didn't do all that Yah had said. He was partial in his obedience. Partial obedience is still the same thing as sinning against him. So our people have to realize it doesn't matter how we feel about what Yah says that we have to do. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the past has, what we've done or experienced in the past, or what Grandma taught us. When he brings you into his truth, or when he is sending messengers to you, because at the end you will not be able to say, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, oh, well, Pastor said, because he's going to say, no, I sent someone. But because what we're saying right now, this is the reason why they believe we're in a cult. Because what we're saying doesn't make sense. What we're telling them doesn't feel good. Because what you mean I can't celebrate Junebug's birthday? I can't celebrate Grandma and bring her roses on Mother's Day. I can't celebrate my mother, my mother on her Mother's Day. I can't celebrate, Christmas. And Junebug, he can't have a Christmas present. I can't celebrate Halloween. I can't celebrate Easter. And soon, y'all is stripping us away from all of the poison that has been put on. It's his doing. He said he was going to serve the gods of wood and stone. We're doing that now. But he is starting to take the veil off, okay? He's starting to remove it. Those Ezekiel 37 dry bones are waking up. But our people, what we're seeing right now, they're rebelling back against a system that, like you said, was set in place for punishment. They don't realize that. We spend, and especially me, spend all day and night over and over and over, besides this show, on Facebook, because that's the biggest platform that I can have to share this truth, trying to tell our people who they are. They think you're in a cult. Yeah. They think that you're crazy, or they got these Hebrews with all these Ninja Turtle outfits on, out here yelling and cursing out people, talking about hate the white man and calling women bees and hoes and all this false doctrine, and they're making us, in the word of Yah, to be ashamed to the heathen. The heathen nations are looking, and they're like, his word is, he said, is looking like, why would I want to serve this God that they're serving? This is the God. This is what their God does. It tells us to hate everybody, to hate the white man. Hate. They act like they hate women. They act like they hate our own women. Yeah. What we're seeing, what's going on in Charlotte right now, they're playing on the heartstrings. They have, and I told Prina this earlier, we're looking at modern day lynchings. What's going on right now is modern-day lynchings. They're not hanging our people on trees, but they're just killing them dead in the street. Yeah. For whatever reason they want, whether it's orchestrated or some of these people, which I believe are part of the agenda. Yeah. Okay, I do believe that. I don't believe everything that they report. As a matter of fact, the majority of what they report on the television, I don't believe. This is all part of the agenda. This is the majority of it is orchestrated, okay, it's planned, because they're trying to play on our heartstrings. They're sending you a message. We do not care about you. We don't care about your children. We don't care about the young or the old, just like he said they wasn't going to care in Deuteronomy 28. They wasn't going to regard the young or the old. This is what is happening. They don't care. Yeah. So whether it's orchestrated or not, they're sending a message. And they want to play on our heartstrings, and we get it. Yeah. We get it. Yeah. The thing is, we're trying to help our people to understand that you cannot react. What they did in response to that man being murdered in Charlotte with the looting, they had to call a state of emergency. This is what they want to get done so they can declare martial law. One thing, they figure we're not going to react if they think someone of another nation is being mistreated or abused, but if we continue to see, because he said your eyes will struck with madness because of what your eyes are going to see constantly. Of what we're going to see, we're going to be mad. We're going to be going crazy because of what we're constantly seeing, how our people are being constantly oppressed and afflicted. This is what we're seeing happening right now. And so our people are starting to go crazy. They're starting to rebel back against this system. But you can't rebel back against this system because this system has always been set in place against you. You stop looking for reparations and restitutions and singing Kumbaya and having candlelight vigils and man marches and thinking that we're going to all be one and have equal rights. It's never going to happen here. Yeah. This nation has never loved you, and they're never going to. You were never to be equal with them. You're supposed to be above every other nation. This is part of your curse. Yeah. We're trying to wake up our people instead of this is the problem that I have, and I told Prina this earlier. The Hebrew Israelites that claim they're awakened. If you listen to this and you claim you're awakened, you know the truth of who we are, stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Yeah. Stop rousing up our brethren that are unlearned, that unaware, that still in darkness, don't know the truth. Stop telling them, let's go rise up and let's go get in a car and go down there and protest. You're going to get your brothers and sisters killed. Yeah. They don't understand. Use this opportunity to teach them the truth of what is really going on. Stop going along with the elite and those that have an agenda in place, because this is Jacob's trouble. We are dead smack in the middle of Jacob's trouble. This is a full-blown war against our people. This is modern-day lynching, what you see going on. And what is happening? They're getting away with it. Why are they getting away with it? Because Yah told you in Deuteronomy 28 that they was going to get away with it. He said no one was going to redeem you. No one's going to save you. No one's going to care. Why? Because it's his doing. This is punishment. Yeah. So we can't operate based off of our emotions. We can't. No. We use this opportunity if you awake. Because I'm seeing all these Hebrew Israelites is claiming they're awake, talking about why. Well, why? Well, when the white man did this, then you let him off. But when the black man do it, then you shoot him dead. Yeah. Why are you asking why? Yeah. Well, you know good and well why. If you awake, you know why. Stop acting like you're not awake if you awake. Mm-hmm. Use this opportunity to teach your family members, friends, and those that will listen the truth of what is really going on. Help them to connect the dots to the scriptures so that they can see, you know what, we are the people. Yeah. This is not happening to no other nation of people but us. Yeah. We can't connect this to no other nation of people. They're pulling on your heartstrings and emotions, and that's why Prina and I are saying you cannot allow your emotions and your heartstrings to lead you. Yeah. As it pertains to what you do and what we do from here on out, we got to show self-control and discipline, because they're going to try to put all kind of traps. They're laying all kind of traps down for us to step into them. You got to be, what does it say? Smart is, what is it? What is the eagle and smart as the dove or something like that along the line. I can't remember right because I'm in my zone. But you have to be smarter than what they're doing. If you're awake, you should already know better. You should already know better. Our people. Yah is like I said. His truth is unchanging. The way we feel about what he has told us is not going to change. What is so is going to be so. Yeah. We can't change anything. Yeah. Yo, I'm gonna let you go because I'm getting ready to get started, and No.
I was just like you were saying. You know, we are the apple of Yah's eyes, and he's not going to be marked at all. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be mocked. His word is truth. Whatever he has proclaimed, it is so. He told us, you know, when we were given the commandments, that he was a jealous God, and that he was going to visit iniquities of the fathers on the children to the third generation of those that hate him. He has shown us that through the curses that he has put on us. You know, he redeemed us over and over again. I don't understand, like, how people think that the Yemoshiach is supposed to take the treatment that we have, you know, that we dish out our sins against him, and then he's just supposed to just lay down like a doormat and just let us run off. No, that's not going to happen.
And then still get in the kingdom.
Yeah, and you're just going to slide in. That's not happening. He said that he's going to punish us, and every time that Israel went into punishment, that punishment lasts for the duration that he said. And we are under punishment for 400 years. Our 400 years isn't up. And even though we are starting to wake up and that dry bones are waking up, you know, we still are under the punishment, whether that we got eyes to hear, you know, eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to receive. We still have to go through the punishment. And what people don't realize is they think they fighting against their oppressor, but they're actually fighting against Yah. You know, and resisting Yah when you know, he tell us, you know, that if in 2 Chronicles 7:14, which is the remedy of getting our people back to the Most High Yah, he said in 2 Chronicles 7:14, and if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land. You know, and that's what we need to cry out to, instead of resorting and going to this Black Lives Matter march and rioting and
part of the
start praying. You know, get your brothers and sisters and pray. You know, and have them repent and show them the way and continue to change, not going back to those sins. And you know, so I don't know if you remember that play, Your Arms Too Short to Box with God.
Oh yes.
Okay, so
you're gonna do it.
So, you can try, but you are not going to. The
pressers are a belt. Okay, they are the belt and the whipping tool that Yah is using.
Yes.
They're whipping us and destroying us and killing us in the street in modern day. They're the belt that he is using to whip you back in shape. He wants you to feel like you have no other resort but he wants you to be his first resort, first of all. But he wants you to cry out to him.
Yeah.
Our people, at some point, you're going to have to look around and say, something is not right.
Yeah.
Pastor told me I was going to be blessed if I tithe, and look at what's happening to our people.
Yes.
Stop looking at this president thinking he getting ready to say he don't care nothing about you. He's not us anyway. He ham, okay?
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Y'all design your emotions, and the one thing I want to say is, because I know we're talking about personal and, you know, experiences as far as being led by Yah, but scripturally, as it pertains to this walk, you cannot serve Yah based off of your feelings and your emotions and what you prefer. If you, what you value and what you hold dear in your heart is greater than that of Yah, then you're going to have difficulty in this walk. You're going to be one of the ones that's going to turn back because people say, oh, this is too hard. Well, I can't do this. Well, I didn't know it was going to be this hard. Well, this is too much. I got to argue with my boss on my job about the Sabbath, or I got to, you know, argue with my family members who don't understand why I'm not coming to their, you know, the Christmas dinners or the Thanksgiving dinners. And for some people, their family, it means everything. And their family is their life. And so instead of telling their family, you know, I have turned to the Most High, I'm keeping His word. His word says this, you know, that when you celebrate, you know, holidays and birthdays, you're honoring pagan gods. It breaks the first and second commandment. Therefore, I will no longer keep this. Instead of you telling them the truth, you would rather disappoint the Father, Yah, than your parents. He said, if you put mother, father, sister, brother ahead of Him, you're not worthy of being in the kingdom.
Yeah.
If you cannot forsake all others to follow Him, like the man was saying, oh, I got to go see about my dad. He said, let the dead bury the dead. Let the dead bury the dead. You worry about the dead. I'm trying to get you. We getting ready to go seek those that are among the living. Yeah. That's where we getting ready to go. You over here worry about somebody already dead. He already knows if you coming and if you not. He said he already knows those that are His. And you can't be led by your emotions in this walk. If you're led by, oh, well, this don't feel good. You know what? When pruning doesn't feel good. Going through the fire doesn't feel good. When you have to make those changes. He designed your emotions to be your gauge, not your guide. You're not supposed to be led by your emotion. It reports to you. It tells you, you know, where you are in your walk. It should dictate to you who you're going to be and if you're going to follow this word or not because it doesn't feel good. Just like if you have a car and you have your gauge where it tells you if you empty, it tells you how much gas you got. Yeah. That's the gauge. And when it's empty, am I going to stay on it? Am I going to stay on empty or am I going to the gas station and fill up? Right. You know what I'm saying? It's a gauge. Your emotions and your feelings, it's a gauge that reports to you to inform you of where you are, but more importantly, where you are in your growth in this walk with Yah. Is your tank on empty? Are you a quarter full? Are you half full? Are you full? You know, and how you feel about things, for some people, you know, it determines your belief and your faith, whether you're going to believe in something or not.
Yeah.
You know, this don't feel good to me. I don't want to do this. Well, this is too hard. I don't want to do this. And then people give up. And then next thing you know, you don't fell off the path, and next week you are Egyptologist. Because it's easier to be an Egyptologist, or it's easier. You know, people want something that's easy. Anything that they got to work at, even though it's going to be worth it in the end. That's why he says those that endure to the end shall be saved. You're not saved now. If you're walking according to his word, there's evidence of your salvation. But you are being saved if you're keeping his commandments. You can lose your salvation at any time. You're being saved. But you have to endure to the end, all the way to the end, staying on the straight and narrow path. And I told you in the Hebrew, I found out that narrow means tribulation. He says you must suffer much tribulation to enter into the kingdom. Tribulation in Hebrew is narrow. That's what narrow means. That means you're going to go through some things. When you're going through tribulations, the trials and tribulations, last time I checked, I don't remember it feeling good. When I felt real bad. I felt horrible when I was going through. But did I say, oh, well, you know, did I curse Yah?
No.
Think about what Job went through. Job didn't curse Yah. He blessed him in the midst of what he was going through. So your faith, you know, it can't, you know, your faith in what you believe is tied up. And we're not going to go into faith now because we're going to be talking about that next week. But what is it that you value? You know, whether you want to believe it or not, our hope and our faith is wired into what we believe. People will say, oh, I'm believing this, you know, but whatever it is you do, that's what you believe. That's what you value. And guess what else? Your emotions and your feelings and your preferences tell you how much. Just like your car, when you got that gauge, it tells you how much gas you got. It's the same thing. Your emotions and feelings, like, for example, delight, affection, fear, anger, joy. You know, it tells you what your heart loves, what your heart trusts, what your heart fears, and how much. I want to read something. Psalm 37:4, it says, this is what it says about delight. It says, delight yourself in Yah, that he may give you your heart's desire. You got to delight yourself in Yah. That's why it says that if you acknowledge him, then he will direct your path. In all your ways, acknowledge Yah, and he will direct your path. You got to delight in him first. He will give you everything else you need. And some things you want, you don't need. You don't need. I want to read Psalm 37, verse 7 and 8. It says, rest in Yah and wait patiently for him. Inflame not yourself with him who prospers in his way, with a man practicing evil wiles. Abstain from anger. He says to abstain from anger. And he says cease from fury. Also, do not inflame yourself to do evil. Why? Because our emotions are also wired into our fallen nature. You know, when we act on our emotions, you allow Satan, just like Prina said, to have access to them. And then he's going to use them to try to manipulate you into sinning against y'all, or like I said, to further his kingdom. Before you know it, you have sinned. That's why he says don't anger, and do not sin in your anger. You know, when you get angry, like Prina was saying, you don't know what you're going to do. You end up doing, next thing you know, you don't kill somebody. You would have never thought you would have done something like that. But in your anger, you never know. When you got that person on the job, and trust me, I have them, that will take you there. You really have to go to a quiet space.
Because I had to. Because I felt the old Prina about to rise up. But and you know, also, you know, we have to remember that Yah hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And I just want to chime in on sound mind. When you have a sound mind, you think clearly and you make better decisions righteously. When your mind is off and you
emotions are all over the place, your decision making is going to reflect that of being all over the place.
You know, and so we have to remember that when Yah, when we operate and we walk in Yah's truth, we have to be that example. You know, because anger of a man does not produce righteousness of Yah, and it doesn't produce the fruits of the Spirit. And so, you know, we have to just be mindful to always walk in the fruits of the Spirit and not after the works of the flesh. And so when we recognize the enemy, that's when we know how to stand. That's why we got to always have on that armor. He said, put on the whole armor of Yah, so you can stand against the wiles of Satan. And so when you don't have on his armor and you don't have his word and you're not studying to show yourself approved, you resort back to your old ways because you are defenseless.
Yes, you are. I mean, you hear people like, I was getting ready to go back to my old self. I mean, you hear people all the time. You hear the person like, I was getting ready to, do this, do that. But sometimes in those moments, that's the time when you have to step away.
Yes.
From that person or that situation, remove yourself and just go and pray in a quiet place and calm down because it's not good. And what you were just speaking about, the fruits of the Spirit, it says in Galatians 5:22 and 23, it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, is joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
Yes.
That's the main thing, self-control. Against such things, there is no law. There's no law against that. And when you're in this journey, I just wanted to speak really quickly just as far as it pertains to this walk, because we know that this walk is not easy.
Yeah.
And y'all never said it was going to be easy. He never said it was going to be a cakewalk. That's what Pastor and them tell you. But it's not. They don't tell you that you have to suffer much tribulation to enter into the kingdom. Yeah. But many will begin this journey, and we've seen people, come into the truth. They're Hebrew Israelites, and then the next thing you know, they're off doing something else because it was too hard, or, they had a zeal, and then somewhere along the line, they got with someone that was mistreated them, or I've heard people say they were mistreated by certain Hebrew Israelite groups, and next thing you know, they're not even believers anymore. So, you can't serve Yah based on your feelings and emotions. You can't serve him based on your attachment to people. Many will begin this journey on the so-called spiritual high, and like I said, based off of their emotions, and then it'll begin to wane. And then next thing you know, they go back to, who they were, or doing the exact same things they did prior to that quote-unquote so-called spiritual high, or that feeling they had when they first got into it. And the point that many don't understand is that your faith is connected to Yah, and it's connected to remaining steadfast in His word, enduring even when things don't appear as His word is promised. Your hope has to be in His promise, and Yah, like I said, Yah, He's not a man that He should lie. So that whichever He has spoken, that is what shall be, and that is what shall come to pass. And I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. Many of our forefathers, they never saw the promises of Yah. But through faith and belief and trust, they obeyed. And if you read Hebrews chapter 11 and 13, it tells us that these, meaning our forefathers, he says they all died by way of faith, not having received the promises. And then it goes on to say in verse 16 that because of their obedience or their trust, despite what they saw, it says that Yah was not ashamed to be called of them, or to be called their God, or be their power, or the one that they serve. You made Yah ashamed when you're saying that He is the one that you serve, and then you're around here walking in disobedience and living contrary to the word. You make His name blaspheme before the heathens, as He says in Romans. He says that you telling people to keep the Torah, yet you're not keeping it. Yeah. Now they looking at that. This is what's happening with a lot of these Hebrew Israelite alphabet groups that's going out here teaching all this false doctrine and hate the white man and teaching, hate women. And I've seen some teaching you can rape women and sex is marriage, and some of them don't believe in the Messiah. And I mean, just all kind of stuff they're making up out here, yelling and screaming and cursing people out. This is who they think we are. So now when people say, "Oh, you a Hebrew Israelite," I'm almost ashamed Yeah. I'm like, I have to go the extra mile. You make the work of the ministry in this walk, the harvest, harder, and we have to do double the work trying to clean up your janky behind and the lies and the false teachings that you're putting out here, and you're claiming that you're of Yah, and you're making it hard for the ones who are humble and who are wholeheartedly teaching the truth, staying on the path of our forefathers. We have to clean up your mess.
Yeah.
We have to clean up your mess. And I'm quite frankly, I'm sick of it, because now it's like when you say you are a Hebrew Israelite, they attribute it to these fools that's out here
yelling
acting like they don't have no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is who they think you are.
Mm-hmm. But
again, when you're in this walk, you can't become, and this is something I can't say enough, you got to stay steadfast. You can't become lazy or tired or weary or too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you continue to be too busy, then you run out of time for Yah, and as a result, that so-called spiritual high or that zeal or that excitement that you had that you couldn't stop talking about a few weeks ago when you first came into this truth, gradually you start to see it dissipate.
Yeah, dissipate.
Next thing you know, it loses strength, and you might not see that again until you go to the next retreat or next Hebrew gathering, and all of a sudden you got that energy again. This is what happens when our relationship and our walk and our obedience is solely based off of our emotions and our feelings. It's okay, I'm feeling good today. Okay, I'm going to serve him today. Then tomorrow I'm in a bad mood. I don't know, I'm not feeling good about this today. Or where you're being challenged, because a lot of it is change. This is what our people don't want.
Yeah.
They don't want to change. But we know Ephesians 2:8 reminds us that our salvation comes through faith, not feelings. Feelings are inconsistent. They're unreliable. They're generated from the heart, and we know his word says the heart is deceitful above all. Who can know it? We can't base our relationship with Yah, or rather we're going to be obedience, based on a wavering feelings.
Yeah.
You can't be no leafy Hebrew. Every when the doctrine comes, you over there trying to see what they doing. Oh, here's somebody got a new age movement. Let me go over and see what they talking about. Oh, here comes somebody. Stand still.
Yeah.
Stand still and learn. Sit down somewhere. Y'all is not some flimsy internet connection who you lose a signal from time to time. You got to stay on fire.
Yes.
You got to stay on fire.
Yes, you do.
Stop waiting on the next spiritual high. That's what they do in Christianity.
Yeah.
We should be disciplined and be growing enough where, rather, like Paul said, I had good days, I had bad times, I had times when I was rich, poor, when I was content, when I had and I didn't have. That didn't shake him.
Yeah.
When he went through trial, tribulation, he done been through it all. What would take you away from the love of Yah? What is going to shake you? Because he is going to shake you.
Yeah.
He's going to shake you because he got stuff that he got to get out. You got to be and something I looked up in discipline. Yeah. You know what the root word is? Discipline, or discipline and disciple. You see that? Discipline and disciple. The root word, discipline and disciple. Discipline means to possess the self-control needed to be able to obey. If you cannot control yourself, if you every time something happens, and you got to operate off your emotions, or your walk with Yah is going to change, or your passion for Yah is going to change based off of if you feel like you're getting afflicted now or it's getting too hard, you might as well give up, because it's not going to.
Yeah, throw in the towel.
Yeah.
It's going to get rough.
And just get ready to hear depart from me.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, and some of it, Shaitan, too, we got to realize that, we have to reap what we have already sown. Yeah. We're not exempt from it. Yeah. And, again, we still have trials and tribulations, because he want to know where your heart is and how you are going to serve him in times when they are not fitting for your emotions. Where it'll tear you down, and you experienced that when you ain't have anything for 5 months coming in. So,
I had to stand.
You had to stand on his word, we not saying that you're not going to be exempt from anything, but, you know, he wants to give us the desires of our heart, but he also wants to test our heart, too, to ensure that we just not going to love him in the good times when we get him.
Yeah, just not when it's good, but through the good and the bad, just like when you stand up and you take your marriage vow covenant, you vow to love and cherish through good and bad. Not just through the good. Y'all need to know that you're going to stand with him through the good and the very, very bad. That is getting ready to happen, because it's going to get a whole lot worse than we are. This is Jacob's trouble. Okay? Biblical prophecy right here. Okay, and so if you can't stand this, you're not going to be able to deal with what's coming. It's going to be worse. I'm just continuing to pray about it because I feel it coming. I just don't know exactly what they're going to be doing, but I know it's not going to be good, and you're going to have to stand. You know, you're going to have to be disciplined. And you can't be operating off of how your feelings. Now is the time to repent, to read your Bibles, to pray and fast, and to do what Yah has required of you. We all do not know when we're leaving, but we are going. So you want to know when you go, if you are making your salvation sure. Like they say every week, examine yourself.
Examine your heart.
See where you are. You have anything else you want to add?
Just pretty much, you know, we said it all, but, you know, again, yes, examine your heart, you know, so that you won't receive that fate of judgment. Depart from me, I never knew you, you know, and you go through the death cycle, and then you have to, you know, in Second Ezra 7, when he talks about, you know, what your soul does when you die. You don't want to have to be on that. You want to be resting automatically in Abraham's bosom, okay? You want to see your treasures that's what was stored up for you. You don't want to have to see what you could have had, and you can't even do anything about it. You can't even repent. You can't do anything. You don't want to be on that side. You want to be resting in Abraham's bosom. So that's basically all I have to say, sis.
Okay, well, there we have it. You said it all. You ended it perfectly. Well, this is kind of going to be a little bit different today, because we're this lesson I'm doing on tithes is not going to be a long lesson. It's kind of going to be a little more interactive. But recapping last week's show, before we get into what this week's show is, last week's show, if you missed our 71st show, it was entitled Precept Upon Precept. And we basically broke down Isaiah 28, 9, and 10, which talks about precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. We showed you what a scriptural precept is, what the purpose is, and how precepts can be used to shut down those who oppose the truth of the scriptures. And I also shared how I study the scriptures, and we just gave a lot of biblical and scriptural examples of how we didn't just tell you, but we actually showed you through example of how to line up precepts to bring scriptural awareness and understanding to those who may not understand or who fail to comprehend the scriptures, even though they claim that they've read it, but they still don't understand it. And so we're going to get right into the 72nd show, which is exposing the tithing lie. And so the tithe, just in general, it just means a tenth, and it existed long before Israel was required to tithe according to the Torah. The first mention of tithing in the scriptures occurred when Abraham gave a tenth of everything that he had at that time to Melchizedek upon returning from a victory. And you can read about that in Genesis chapter 14. I'm not going to go too much into that because I am going to do another lesson where I'm going to be breaking down some scriptural verses that the churches use to teach that tithing is still valid for today. So that's why I'm not going to go too much into that. And then also pledge that the tenth that Jacob had pledged to give to Yah. I'm going to talk about that another time as well when I go over the scriptures, because they try to use that. And these were basically voluntary acts that they did as far as giving. And it was not what the pastors of today use to bleed the congregations out of their money. People are giving away their rent, light, gas, just like at the beginning of the broadcast where he was like, don't ask no questions, get the money. Don't ask no questions, just get the money, because, our people, unfortunately, they don't read, because they believe that the Old Testament, and that's why they want them to stay out of it. That's the reason why they want you to stay out, because they know if you really read it, you're going to find out the truth. Yeah. The truth. I mean, Torah is life. That's the teaching instructions. They want you to stay out of that. As long as Satan can keep you out of that, he know he good. He don't care about anything else that you believe, okay? But some of the points and that I'm going to make, and then we're going to listen to a quick audio, and then I'm going to come back and read some scriptural verses from Malachi chapter 1 and 2, so that by the time we get to chapter 3, you will know who was really robbing Yah, because, they have these church services, and then they play this emotional, heart, pulling music to get you all riled up and emotional. Then they have somebody from the motherboard come up and tell you, and they're going to stand up and read Malachi 3 and 10 to guilt you into giving, like the pastor said at the beginning of the audio, at the clip that I played, don't make sure you give the gross, not the net, the gross. Because I remember asking the minister, I'm like, what are we supposed to, because I'm reading, but I'm like, are we supposed to give the gross or the net? Because I said, it don't seem like he would want you to get the gross, because that's not what you're getting. You only getting the net. Oh, no, you give the gross. And I'm like, but it don't say that. Now, this was in my beginning walk. Yeah. In the beginning walk when I first came out of the Christian churches, and I had came to a Hebrew congregation, and this is what the minister at that time told me, that I tithe the gross, because I was like, why would y'all want you to tithe off of something that you didn't even get? Or we earned it, but we didn't get it. But I was told then, and I began to study, and eventually, Prina and I told we were kicked out, but I left. We all left. Because, if you are one that study and seek Yah and read the scriptures for yourself and not rely on just what pastor said, you would not be fooled. You would know when what they're teaching you is not lining up with scripture. That's when it's time for you to bounce. It's time for you to leave. You have no obligation to any man. I don't care how much you love him. I don't care how much you care about him. I don't care how much, how great the services were and how loving your people were. You are not obligated to stay at a church or under a teacher that is teaching contrary to the scriptures. It is it is your duty to get up and leave. Let me see. Let's see here. I don't know why I'm starting to cough. See how things work? But so the tithe, again, it was never money, and this is some points we're going to bring out today. Yeah. It was never money. It was agricultural. Only those who were landowners and farms were required to give.
Okay.
Oh, I'm here. I'm just not trying to cough on the phone.
Okay.
This is a number saying, because I was not coughing before.
I hear you.
All of a sudden I'm coughing. But that's okay. But the tithe only applied to agricultural produce from the land. Mm-hmm. This included grain, the fruit, the trees, the wine, the oil, the herds, even the animals. Mm-hmm. You can tithe with them. The tithe was only given by landowners who own farms, okay? And so employees, servants, or hired hands did not tithe, for it was not their land. They didn't have to do that. And you can read Deuteronomy chapter 14 and 22 for that. Leviticus 27 tells you that it was only agricultural. It was never money. This is Leviticus 27, verses 30 through 32. The tithe was only assessed on the increase, so only on what you increase. If you didn't have an increase, you didn't tithe.
Yeah.
You didn't tithe. It was only on the increase. That's not what they tell us.
No.
That's not. We're not getting, when we get our checks, what have they done? Bleeded us to death with the taxes. Okay? I be looking like, when I be looking at the gross, I'm thinking what I could do if I had that extra, $700 or whatever it is they decide to take. You know, we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it. But if you read the entire chapter of Deuteronomy chapter 14, it goes more in depth. Again, it did not apply to the total net or gross assets that a person required from the year. It was only on the increase. And again, it was never money. And if you did use it, as we're going to read a little bit later, it was only allowed to be transferred because, let's say, if you're going on a distance, you were traveling, and being that it was grain, food, herd, if the traveling distance was too far, they were allowed to transfer it to money. But then when they got to the place, then they would buy the food and the things that they needed when they got there. And another thing with people tithing and the pastors telling people you have to tithe every week, it was never weekly. The tithe was only once a year after the harvest. The tithe was given to the Levites. You first of all, you have to be a Levitical priest because they were the ones that were given charge over this. This is the reason why people tithed, because they did not have a land. They were not given a land. They were the ones that were in charge of the priesthood. They were the priests, and you had to be a Levitical priest. Yah was very particular, and there were conditions on who would tithe, how much you tithe it, and who was able to take the tithes. Not just anybody could just come and just take tithes. So when these pastors are coming to you, asking you for tithes, you ask them, are you a Levitical priest? You don't even know if you're the tribe of Levi because you don't even know who you are, let alone if you're from the tribe of Levi. But again, you only tithe it once a year after the harvest. This is, again, can be read in Deuteronomy 14 and also Amos 4:4. There was never any weekly payments, where you had to, you couldn't do it. First of all, the crops were still growing. It was in the winter. You didn't know what the harvest was going to be. You know what I'm saying? And the main thing was the tithes were to be shared with other tithers. You can read this in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 7 through 18, and Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 23 through 26. The tithe was to be eaten, by the one tithing along with the others in a feast and a celebration before Yah. You were supposed to take the tithes to be shared. And remember, it was never money. It was grain. It was agriculture. It was produce. If you had animals, the herd, you were supposed to share it with the rest and to celebrate it as a feast before Yah. This was not money. It was never money. People the pastors now try to use it the wrong way because they do. Why? Because the law is done away. This is what happens when you teach that the law is done away with. They have no understanding of how the system was set up by Yah himself. Again, the tithe can only be brought to who? The Levitical priests at the temple where? In Israel. The tithe could not be just brought anywhere or just given to anybody. But he was very specific. He designated a place. And so the institutional tithing system that we see going on in today's churches is not what Yah had in mind. They're illegally taking tithes, and I'm calling it illegal because what they're doing, people are giving their money away, and I know people, lights and gas was getting cut off, and they claimed the tithes was for helping, but then when they went to the people, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, they bring you their light bill, show it with the shut-off sign on there. You telling them you don't do that. Then what am I tithing for?
Yeah.
For Pastor to have a Rolls Royce? For somebody like Creflo Dollar to have a jet? That, you bleed the people out of their money, and they don't have money to pay their bills, and you guilty. And these people, because they don't understand, and because they've been told that the law's done away with them, and because they put their trust in you, which is their fault because they shouldn't be, but because you are taking advantage of the young and the old and the unlearned, and these people are thinking and you try to deceitfully use, which we're going to go over momentarily after listening to this audio clip, of Malachi 3:10, talking about will a man rob God, and then they read, what's the other one? God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah.
That's witchcraft.
Yeah.
When they stand up and read those two scriptures, it's witchcraft because it is with the intention of manipulating you and guilting you out of your money. Almost every institutional church that I know, especially in Christianity, they teach that tithing is mandatory to their members. Some of them even teach that their members are robbing Yah if they don't tithe to the organization. And like I said, many poor people, they're struggling to make ends meet. And they're being coerced to go into debt because they're paying tithes, And then, but the tithes is done away with, but you keep going back to that same old law that's done away with. So let's listen to this audio clip. This is a little bit further about tithing. We're going to come back, and then we're going to I'm going to be reading Malachi 1 and 2. And Preena, I want you have some testimonies that you're going to share about some family members that they experienced from tithing. And then if some of you have not heard, New Era Detroit, which is a community organization here in the Detroit area in Michigan here, they ambushed and shut down a church service, a mega church here by Pastor Wayne T. Jackson, Greater Faith Ministries. You're going to hear what happened, and they're going to explain why, and it's connected to the tithing and the amount of offering that this ministry. I mean, when you hear this, you're not going to believe it. So we're going to listen to this audio clip with tithing, and then we're going to come back and we'll go ahead and discuss that.
It's popular in Christian churches to teach that we must tithe 10% of our paycheck to the church. But is that really what the Bible teaches? I find it quite ironic and hypocritical that the churches who teach that the law is abolished are the same ones that teach you must pay your tithe from your income. This teaching is quite popular because it ensures a steady income for the pastors. But is it biblical? What does the Bible actually tell us about tithing? The Torah instructions concerning the tithe are always about produce, grain, and livestock taken for tithes. In fact, there is an exception that is made that specifically mentions money and how it is to be used concerning the tithe. But if the journey is too long for you so that you are not able to carry the tithe, or if the place where the Lord your God chooses to put his name is too far from you, when the Lord your God has blessed you, then you shall exchange it for money. Take the money in your hand and go to the place which the Lord your God chooses, and you shall spend that money for whatever your heart desires, for oxen or sheep, for wine or similar drink, or whatever your heart desires. You shall eat there before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. So we see that the only time money can be used in connection with tithes is when the journey is too far to carry your produce and your cattle. Then you can sell your tithes for money and take the money on your journey so that you can buy food and beverage for your tithe. Notice also that this tithe is to be eaten by you because it is for you to celebrate the feasts of the Lord, such as Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. Even in the New Testament, when it mentions tithe, it is always in connection to produce, not money. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, for you pay a tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and you have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. But woe to you, Pharisees, for you tithe mint and rue and all manner of herbs, and pass by justice and the love of God. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. So if your preacher asks you for a tithe, I guess you can give him a salad, because the only tithe mentioned in the New Testament was items from a garden. So what is the purpose of the tithe? Why did God tell Israel to tithe, and who was the tithe for? The Bible explains that the tithe was given to the Levites to eat because they did not receive a land inheritance. All the other tribes were given land so that they could grow crops and raise livestock. But the Levites were appointed to serve in the temple and did not have any land to grow food of their own. So God set up the tithes as a way to provide food for the Levites. Speak thus to the Levites and say to them, when you take from the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you, from them as your inheritance, then you shall offer up a heave offering of it to the Lord, a tenth of the tithe. You may eat it in any place, and you and your households, for it is your reward for your work in the tabernacle of meeting. The tithe was for the Levites. It was not given to the rabbis or the teachers, unless, of course, they were Levites. In fact, Yeshua never received tithes from anyone because he was not a Levite. Even today, Jewish rabbis do not collect tithes because they understand that the tithes are for the Levites serving in the temple, not the rabbis. So why do so many preachers impose and require tithes from their congregations? There are two main reasons that I have found. In most cases, the preacher has inherited lies too, and he does not realize that he is taking illegal tithes. He does it because it is the way it has been done for centuries. These preachers need to have their eyes opened to the truth. However, in some cases, the preacher is greedy and deceptive, deliberately twisting the scriptures to their advantage and manipulating people into giving them 10% of their income. These men are wolves in sheep's clothing. They prey on the poor, telling them if you give from your poverty, God will bless you with wealth. They also like to prey on the emotions of the people by twisting the words of Malachi concerning the tithes. However, when we look at the context of what Malachi was saying, we see that he was talking about tithes of produce and grain in the store.
All right. So we're back. We're going to go right into Malachi, chapter 1 and 2, what he was explaining. And I think that was just a quick, explanation of what the tithes were. I didn't want to, have an audio clip and that was real drawn out. Because it's going to be self-explanatory once I read. When you go back and read Leviticus 27 and Deuteronomy 14 and read Malachi, it will become clear. And he told them exactly what he wanted and what he required in Numbers chapter 18, I believe, as far as the Levitical priesthood and how he wanted it set up. And if they wanted to do the tithing system, even if they could or even if it was allowed to do it or if it was valid, the way that they're doing it today is incorrect. How you going to tithe and borrow a tithing system from the same law that you say that's done away with and put a twist on it and then change it completely from what the original intentions were? You know what I'm saying? So let's quickly, I want everyone, those who are listening, we're going to quickly read some verses from Malachi chapter 1 and 2, and then we're going to read chapter 3 because these are very short, and we're going to read some verses. So quickly, if everyone could turn to Malachi chapter 1, and I'm going to begin reading verse 6. A son honors his father, and a servant his master. If then I am your father, where is my honor? And if I am a master, where is my fear? Says Yah of hosts to you, O priest. So we know right now that Yah is addressing who? He's talking to the priests, the so-called pastors, okay? He's not talking to the people. He says, O priests who despise my name, but you say, and what have we despised your name? Malachi 1 and 7. You are offering defiled food on my altar. And you say, and what have we defiled you? It is in your saying, the table of Yah, it is to be despised. And if you offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and the sick, is it not evil? Bring it now to your governor. Will he accept it or lift up your face? says Yah holds. So Yah is addressing a specific concern that is going on amongst the priests. He's talking to the priests right now. He's not talking to the assembly. He's not talking to the people. He's talking to the priests, the ones that he put in charge. He told them in verse 7 that they were offering defiled food on his altar. Now, if we go down to verse 8, it says, Yah asked them the question. He says, if you offer the blind for sacrifice, he says, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and the sick, is it not evil? He says, like, so if I'm going to give somebody a gift, Prina, am I going to give you a gift? And I'm going to tell you, someone did this to me at my bridal shower, gave me a gift of lingerie that clearly was used.
Trifling. This trifling.
You know, used, it was white, number one, dingy. It did not look clean. It was clearly, you know how after you wash things so many times you get like the balls and things you have to put. This was given to me as a wedding gift.
Wow.
Didn't have a price tag or anything on it. And I'm thinking, this is what if I'm going to give someone a gift, am I going to give you a gift that is defiled, that is dirty, that is unclean? You know, if I'm going to give you a gift, I'm going to give you the best. I'm going to give you something that is pleasing. If I know you and I know your personality, I know what you like and you dislike, you've stressed to me, we've been friends for a while, and I know you like something, like, okay, when I'm going to get a gift for Prina, why am I going to go get you something that I know that would displease you? And so, you know, Yah is telling them, you know, you're going to defile, you defile my altar. You have sacrificed, you've offered a sacrifice that was blind. He said, isn't that evil? Or you offer to me the lame and the sick. You're going to give Yah, if you're going to give something to Yah, you're going to give him your best. You're not going to go and give Yah and sacrifice. What we don't understand what's going on here is this is a picture of our coming Hebrew Messiah, the Lamb without spot or blemish. If you did not listen to that show a couple of shows back, the Lamb without spot or blemish, you need to go back and listen to that. It is against Torah to offer up a sacrifice or a lamb that has a spot or a blemish. When you did Passover, that lamb had to be 1 year old, a male without spot or blemish. He said nothing. It couldn't have no kind of blemish on it, no kind of imperfection. You don't know when you're doing Passover here. First of all, you have to be in the land. We have to, as Hebrews, we got to learn how to do things right. We have a habit of when we don't know how to do things or we're confused about it, we just do it any old kind of way. Well, I don't know how to do it that way, so I'm just going to do it this way. Did he not accept Cain's sacrifice? Yeah. He only accepted Abel's. Why didn't he accept Cain's? He said, if you do well, I would accept it. He says, but since you haven't, he said, sin is crouching at the door. If you'd have done it the way that I told you, I would have accepted it. Then what did he do? He get mad and he want to go in India and then murder his brother. You know what I'm saying? Yah is not going to accept everything that you give him. If he tells you that you have to be in the land to do it, then you have to be in the land. We can't keep all the feast days here. We can't keep Passover here. Yeah. We can't keep tabernacles, but people getting ready to set their tents up. He done already told you where you have to be. He's already told you. Jerusalem is the place that he chose to put his name. America is not the place where he chose to put his name. We have to do things. So what we're reading right here is a picture of our Hebrew Messiah, the Lamb he was offered up as a sacrifice. He did not have spot or blemish. Yah is not going to accept imperfection because he is set apart.
Yeah.
He is pure. He is righteous. So you think you're going to offer up the worst? The Levites were also required to offer up a heave offering, which was the best and the first portion, the best. That's what a heave offering is. Here they are offering up some lame and sick and blind to Yah. He said, you have defiled. Was our Hebrew Messiah defiled?
Yeah.
When he offered up something as a sacrifice for our wretched behinds, he gave the best he had, his only begotten Son.
Yes, he did.
He was the Lamb without spot or blemish. Mm-hmm. This is what this is a picture of, what you're seeing. He has a problem, but who does he have a problem with? Who was the one that was in charge? The Levitical priests of the tithes. So we see here, he says, do you think, like, even in your own natural state with your governor, will any of them accept you and you offering up something that's imperfect to them? Verse 9, he says, and now entreat the face of Yah that he favors us. This has been seen by your hands. Will he lift up your faces, says Yah of hosts? Verse 10, who is even among you that will shut the doors, and you do not kindle fire on my altar in vain? There is no delight to me in you. He said, you don't delight in me. He says what? I will not accept a food offering from your hand. He said, I'm not accepting it. He said, I'm not going to accept it. He says, from the rising of the sun to its going down, my name shall be great among the nations, and everywhere incense shall be offered to my name, and a pure food offering. For my name shall be great among the nations, says Yah of hosts. He says, but you are profaning it when you say the table of Yah, it is polluted, and its fruit, his food is to be despicable. You have said, behold, what weariness, and you have sniffled at it, or you have sniffed at it, says Yah of hosts. You bring the stolen. So now they bringing something they don't stole. Something that's been, like somebody buying a hot TV, and then they trying to sell it to you, and it's hot next to you, the police knocking at your door, and you wondering because they don't got the code on it. This is what they're doing. They bringing a hot lamb, okay? They bringing something that's stolen. He says the lame and the sick, and you bring the grain offering. Yah says, should I accept it from your hands? Verse 14, he says, but cursed be a deceit. He calls this being deceitful. He calls you that you will be cursed for offering up something that is impure, that is blind, that is sick, that is imperfect. He says, he calls you being deceitful. He says, and he vowed it, but he sacrificed a blemished one to Yah. Yah has already said over and over and over and over again in his word that your lamb must be without spot or blemish. He said not one blemish, nothing on it. Mm-hmm. No spots, nothing. But he says, for I am a great king, says Yah of hosts, and my name is feared among the nations. So let's go to chapter 2. Who is he addressing again in verse 1? Who? He says, and now, O priest. Mm-hmm. This command is to, who is he talking to, Brina? Who is he saying? Who is this command?
Priest.
Who is he talking to? He said, oh, priest, this command is to you. This is what pastors don't read every Sunday morning. They just skip right on to Malachi 3 and 10. They didn't go back to 1 and 2 so that you can see who he was really addressing. He said in Malachi chapter 2 and 1, he said, oh, priest. Oh, pastor, he said, this is to you. I'm talking to you right now. Malachi 2 and 2. If you will not hear, and if you will not set it on your heart to give high esteem to my name, says Yah of hosts, he says, then I will send a curse on you, and I will curse your blessings. And indeed, I have cursed it because you are not setting it on your heart. So he's saying you're going to be cursed.
Yeah.
That's why these ministers, they think they living a high life now. That's why you're starting to see a lot of stuff happening to them. What's going on right now with Eddie Bishop, well, the so-called, I ain't calling him Bishop, but Eddie Long, where they're saying about the cancer and all of this. Mm-hmm. Just keep it up. Creflo and the rest of them better be looking at him because he might be an example. Because what I saw that, and they're talking about he's gravely ill and was diagnosed, so-called diagnosed with stage 4. We'll see. And we're not rejoicing in it. But what I saw, if this is true, what I saw was judgment.
Yeah.
We need to be praying that he repents if it's not. Because Yah is not going to be mocked. Preenis talked about this earlier. He is not going to be mocked. He says when sudden calamity come on you, he said he's going to laugh at you. He said he's going to laugh. But he's talking to these priests right now. He said that I'm going to curse your blessings. And he says, indeed, I have cursed it because you are not setting it on your heart. Malachi 2:3. He says, behold, I am rebuking your seed. So not only is he rebuking you and cursing you, but he's rebuking your seed, your children.
Yeah.
He said, I will spread dung on your faces, the dung of your solemn feast, which he does not want, okay? And one will lift it up to you. And one will lift you up to it. And you shall know that I have sent this command to you to be my covenant with Levi. See, he's talking to the Levitical priests. They were the ones who were in charge of the priesthood. Pastor is unlearned, like the man said in the audio clip we just listened to, or they just being wolves trying to bleed you out of your money. They do not read Malachi 1 and 2. I'm sure some of them probably have, but you think they're going to read that to you? No, they're going to skip straight to Malachi 3 and 10, read that one scriptural verse, pull it out of its context, and now you up there standing in $1,000 line and don't know why. Malachi chapter 2, verse 6. The law of truth, let me go back. Let me start with verse 4. And you shall know that I have sent this command to you to be my covenant with Levi, says Yah of hosts. My covenant with him was life and peace, and I gave them to him for fear. And he feared me, and he is put in awe before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. In peace and in uprightness he walked with me. He's talking about Levi, our forefather. And he turned from he says that Levi turned many from iniquity. Verse 7. For the lips of the priests, these pastors, he says the lips of the priests should guard, that's what I meant. The lips of the priest should guard knowledge, and they should seek the truth from his mouth. Are we getting truth from these pastors' mouth?
Yeah, we ain't getting no Torah from it.
No, because it's done away with.
Yeah.
So the Torah is true. His word is true. So if part of his word is dead, you getting partial truth. You're not getting the full truth. Mm-hmm. That's like picking up a book and starting in the middle and reading to the end. Don't know what happened in the beginning, and you completely lost. And that's why our people are what? Lost. Mm-hmm. But he says, for the lips of the priest should guard knowledge, and they should seek the Torah from his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yah. So the priest is supposed to be the messenger of Yah. A messenger carries the message of the one who sent him. Mm-hmm. If I give you a message, Prina, and I say go and tell Miss Martin that blah, 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 whatever the case may be, and then you go and you just give her part of what I said and don't tell her the rest, next thing you know, Miss Martin waiting at my door. Okay, what happened?
Yeah.
You didn't tell the truth.
Yeah.
I told you to tell the whole story, and you went and you only told half. You're supposed to, the messenger, if you're going to deliver a message, make sure you deliver the entire message. What is being preached in the church and taught in the church is a lie. If it is partial truth, it's a lie. Partial truth is a full lie. No lie is of the truth. That's what his word says. Yeah. So just like partial truth is a lie, so is partial obedience, which is rebellion, which is witchcraft.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's also idolatry. Mm-hmm. Verse Malachi 2:8. But you have turned out of the way. So he's saying you're supposed to be my messenger. He says, but in verse 8, you have turned out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the Torah. You've caused many to stumble. Is this not what the pastors are doing today? Yeah. Causing many to stumble at the law by telling them that it's done away with and they don't have to do that? You have, now here we go. We already know who he's addressing. What did he say they have done? He says, you have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yah of hosts. The covenant of Levi can be found in Numbers chapter 18, verses 22 through 32. Numbers 18, verse 22 through 32. Yeah. So if you go to Numbers 18, 22 through 32, you can read that full covenant that was made. He's letting them know you are corrupting the covenant that was made. So I have also made you despise and loathe to all the people, just as you have not kept my ways, but are lifting up faces in the Torah. They're turning faces away. He says when you lift up a face, you're not paying attention to it anymore.
Yeah.
You're taking them away. If I got my face engrossed in this book, I got my face down in it.
Yeah.
But when I'm lifted up, I'm not even paying attention anymore. They turned the people away and lifted their faces away from the Torah. That's what they have done. Verse 10, is there not one Father to us all? Has not one Yah created us united? Why do we act deceitfully, every man with his brother, to profane the covenant of our fathers? He's telling them that you are profaning the covenant of our fathers. Judah has dealt treacherously and has done an abomination in Israel and in Jerusalem, for Judah has profaned the set-apart place of Yah. And this is going more into, he has married a daughter of a heathen god. Someone asked me to do a show on interracial marriage, interracial dating. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it or not. I'll have to pray on that and see if this is something y'all wants me to do. But this right here is telling you. This right here is telling you. Let's go to chapter 3. Let's go to chapter 3. So here's where Pastor Porkchop begins. And let's go down. First of all, Malachi, he says in Malachi 3:3, and he shall sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them like gold. He's talking about Yeshua, who's going to come back. And he says, then they will be presenters of a full offering in righteousness to Yah. Malachi 3:6, he says, for I am Yah, I do not change. Okay? He said he does not change. He says, but because of this, the sons of Jacob are not destroyed. Okay? So here comes Pastor Porkchop right here, Malachi 3:8. Will a man rob God? This is how they start. Yet you have robbed me. Mm-hmm. But you say, in what have we robbed you? They don't even know how they robbed him. Okay? And then he answers, in tithes and the offering. Verse 9, you are cursed with a curse for the nation. All of it, you are robbing me. So he said, you are robbing me. He's saying that they're cursed. This is what they read. They don't go to Malachi chapter 1 and 2. So that you know who he's addressing. They go straight to Malachi and they read verses 3, Malachi 3, and they read verses 8 through 10. Mm-hmm. Will a man rob God? This is where they're going to start, right here. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to tell you how in verse 9 that you're going to be cursed if you don't tithe and give God your, because I used to think, he need our money? And you giving it to him. I'm like, so what is y'all doing with the money when he created? He created everything. You would not believe the stories that I've heard. You know, when you ask these questions, like, he needs our money. Well, no, you're supposed to. Okay? So they tell you you're going to be cursed in verse 9. This is what they read you to guilt you. And then he says that you're robbing them. So if I hadn't read Malachi 1 and 2 pregnant, and I just started right here in Malachi 3 and 8 and just say, will a man rob God? He says, you have robbed me. And what have we robbed you? And then you say in tithes and offering, it does appear. If I just start there at Malachi 3 and 8, and then read 9, it says you were cursed because you robbing me, then I'm like, wow, you know what? I better tithe. I don't want to be cursed, because if I don't, I'm robbing God. This is what they do. They don't read any of the preceding. This is what I was talking about last week, precept upon precept. You have to line up. When I was reading Malachi 1 and 2, also precepts to that, when you read other precept scriptural verses, it also talks about the conditions and under which you can sacrifice, and how it had to be without spot or blemish. Yah, even with Cain, he did not accept any offering. When you start lining up those things and then going to Malachi, you begin to get the picture and the understanding of why. He already laid down the stipulations in Numbers 18 for the Levitical priesthood. Yah, again, he is a conditional power. His love is conditional. He has conditions. That's why he said, if you obey me, if you do this, then I will do that. But if you don't, then this. He has consequences. He is a conditional father. He is a conditional power. He is not someone that we serve that does not have conditions. His love is not unconditional. Stop even accepting on your everyday life. Well, I don't want no unconditional love. I don't want nobody loving me unconditionally, and I don't want to love someone unconditional. Unconditional love in the Hebrew, it means a love that is corrupt, a love that is profane. I don't want a corrupt love. I don't want to love someone or have someone love me, and I don't have any stipulations. That means a person who loves you unconditionally will love you no matter what you do. That means you can mistreat them. You can dog them. You can do whatever you want. This is why a lot of women stay in unhealthy and toxic relationships, and not just women, but men too. And toxic and unhealthy friendships, and even when it comes to family members too. You will remain in that relationship because you think that unconditional love is of Yah, that He requires that you continue to stay with someone who's beating you, who's abusing you, who's mistreating you. They're showing you love is an action word. Even with Yah, he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. You can't tell Yah you love him and then you're still fornicating. You're still walking in disobedience. You're still celebrating Christmas. You're still celebrating birthdays. And that's a big thing right there. Our people, we can get everything else. We can get all the holidays. What is it I would like to know, what is it with birthdays that our people just cannot let go of? You need to understand that it is a stronghold. Don't say happy birthday to me. I don't want nobody flooding my Facebook page or flooding with a whole bunch of happy birthdays, birthday love, this birthday love. I don't want no birthday love. Birthday love is Queen of Heaven love. It's the pagan God love. Saying happy birthday is the same thing as Merry Christmas. Am I grateful that Yah has allowed me to see another day? I may be saying, you know what, I'm grateful Yah has allowed you to be in my life another year. But I'm not getting ready to say no happy birthday, because once you allow that on your page on Facebook, next thing you know, they putting up cupcakes with a candle in it, birthday cakes with candles in it. They putting up all kind of idolatrous birthday symbols. But celebrating birthdays is idolatry and it's witchcraft. Astrology is involved in it, and it serves the pagan god, Queen of Heaven. It is the highest holidays of all holidays to Satanists. If it is highly regarded and favored among Satanists, do you think that service of Yah should have anything to do with it? Did you read what happened to Job's children, where he had to go offer up sacrifices because he knew that they was having a birthday celebration and a house fell on them? What is it with birthdays? I have to address this for a second. What is it? I would like, it's people, Hebrews, who know better, and they're still doing it. They can't let it go, or they're allowing people, because it's also about vainglory and worship of self. Celebrating birthdays is about you becoming a god for the day, where everybody bows down and worships you and submits to you. That's what it's about. You being a god for the day. And I'm seeing a lot of Hebrew Israelites is claiming that they're in truth, claiming they know about birthdays, but then they're still allowing people to flood their pages with a lot of foolishness and garbage, and then they got birthday cakes and talking about enjoy your day. There's no such thing as no birthday love if you're serving Yah. If you're doing this, you need to repent and come out of it. because it's idolatry. We have to learn that the stuff that we learn in this world, we got to let go of all of it.
Yeah.
I don't allow people to call my son and wish him no happy nothing. Don't call here because, as a matter of fact, I'm turning the phone off on that day.
Yeah.
Don't even call here. Don't bring no gifts around that time talking about I was just at the store. Okay, yeah, you always at the store around his birthday. Why you not around the store in June when it ain't nowhere near his birthday? But every time it's around his birthday time, you so-called at the store. I don't even accept it.
Yeah.
We got to learn to come out of, I don't want nobody worshiping me. Worship Yah. Every time somebody try to give me credit, I say, all praises be to Yah. I don't want it. I don't want it. Who was that dropped dead when he was taking credit from the people and the people started worshiping him and he didn't stop them and then they said he dropped dead? I can't think of who that was. Was it?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was a pastor, though.
It was someone, a king. I don't know if it was a ruler or somebody. I don't know who was it. It wasn't Barnabas. It was somebody.
Oh, okay.
I have to remember that. I can't remember. But this is what we're going back to Malachi 3 and 10. This is what they read. They says, you are cursed with a curse for the nation, all of it. You are robbing me. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse so that there may be food in my house. And test me now with this, says Yah of hosts, whether I will open up the windows of heaven for you and pour out a blessing until there is no sufficiency or room to store it. So we're gonna. This is what they read, and when they read this here, and again, I told you that a heave offering is just basically it's your first portion of the produce that they were required to keep separated, and they were supposed to keep it set apart for consumption, okay? And they didn't do this. Again, Numbers 18, he gave specific instructions to the Levitical priests regarding the tithes, how it was to be taken, and how the heave offering was to be unpolluted. And they were told if they polluted the set-apart things of the tithes, that they would be cursed. And so after us reading Malachi chapter 1, 2, and 3, we now see who was really robbing the Most High. He was talking to the Levitical priests. He was talking to the pastors. Again, Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, by far is one of the most distorted and flawed misteachings of our time. The institutional churches of today, we got a big problem. We have a problem because, first of all, there is no temple.
Yes.
One, there is no Levitical priesthood. We're not in the land. The fatherless, the widows, and the strangers are not receiving the tithe. No. They're not being. If you have a church, you should be taking care of the fatherless. And as many of these older women, and I'm going to have you share your testimony, Prina, and share this testimony, this 92-year-old woman, but many of these people, elderly women, are widowed. Husbands have passed on. You're supposed to be taking care of them so that they're provided. Yah's heart is with the widows, those who have lost their husbands, those, because he knows the husband is the lead and the head of the household. You don't have that man there, that husband there, and you're a widow. Yah has compassion. He has great compassion on the widows and the fatherless. And as a matter of fact, he says, if you hurt them and they cry out to him, he said, woe unto that man. Woe unto that person that does harm and offends the widow and the fatherless. And he said, and they cry out to me, and that's not going to be good for you.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be, these churches are supposed to be taking care. It's plenty of women and children who are women who are widows and they're fatherless children that don't have fathers, and these single mothers who are in these congregations tithing faithfully week after week, and they are living in poverty. Their lights and gas are getting cut off. They can barely make ends meet and paying their rent, and they're not lifting a finger to take. Many of these women catch the bus with their children to church or catch a ride. This money that they're getting, if they distribute it evenly among the people, they can have people who have a car, even if it wasn't a used car. They're not helping them in no kind of way. But all they want is your money. That's it. Prina, are you ready to share? Prina?
Shatar? Shatar?
Okay, Prina, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
they
girl.
cut me off.
Yes, they cut me off too.
They cut you off too?
Well, Satan is busy on my end. My internet went out.
Okay, yeah, see? This is how Satan operates. See, we're teaching the truth now, and now all of a sudden, this has never happened with both of us was being cut off at the same time. See, we know that we're using the people we know they're not allowing us to have these free broadcast shows. We know that this is all being recorded and it's going to be used against us, but we don't care. They're cutting us off, okay?
No.
They're cutting us off. I tried to dial in 2-3 times, and they kept telling me, you can't come in the show right now, even though I'm the host.
Right.
So, So
yes.
we sincerely apologize to those of you who may be listening right now. But continuing on what I said, I would like for Prina, for you to share your testimony, because I was talking about the heave offering and how the heave offering was the best, the first portion and the best they were supposed to give. And if you have someone in your congregation, like I said earlier, that is a widow, that is children that are fatherless, you are supposed to be taking care of them. Yeah. There is no way that someone who is fatherless and a mother or a woman who is a widow, who has lost her husband, and they're not being taken care of, and they should not be struggling. They should not have to worry about food or worry about shelter, because that's what the tithes was for. Yeah. It was to be distributed. These pastors do not read Malachi 1 and 2. They go straight to Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, and guilt you into believing that you're going to be cursed if you do not tithe and give to the pastor and support his mansion, and so he can keep riding around in the Benz and get that special parking place up front and all the other amenities that come with this. Yeah. We have we have a clear case of robbery, but it's by the pastors who are receiving the tithes in today's church. And again, money is not tithe. It was never money. It was agricultural produce, the herd, things of that sort. I want to go to Malachi 3 and 10. quickly where it says, when it talks about the window of heavens that he's, once you give and you tithe, because this is what they'll say. If you give and you tithe, he said he's going to pour out a blessing and open the windows of heaven where, you're not going to have enough to receive. So this is what the people are waiting on.
Yeah, they are.
I'm tithing. And this is what I used to think, because I was a faithful.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I thought that I was being obedient because I had a heart after Yah. I wasn't to open my eyes to the truth that I actually see who was really robbing him. But when it talks about opening up the windows of heaven, people use this in a vague way, where you're going to get this blessing from Yah. But this verse speaks of rain. It's speaking of rain, pouring out a blessing upon your crops and your livestock, which will increase and multiply so that there will not be enough room to receive the produce that comes from it.
Yeah.
Read Malachi 3:11, which speaks of the fruit of the ground.
Yeah.
And neither shall your vine cast her fruit. What is he talking about? He's not talking about no money. Is money growing out of the ground?
No.
That's what my mother used to say when it growing on. Money ain't growing on trees.
Growing on trees, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is what it's talking about when it talks about pouring out a blessing and windows of heaven, opening up, that you will have enough to receive. He's talking about that he will make sure that the rain will pour out so that your crops and your livestock will increase and multiply, so there won't be enough to room. You'll have so much growth. You'll have so much fruit of the ground and produce.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is you are required to first take care of your family. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if any provide not for his own, especially those of his own household, he is denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. An infidel is likened to an unbeliever. It's an unbeliever. You already know an unbeliever is not making it in the kingdom.
Yeah.
So if you are not taking care of your family, y'all say you are worse than an unbeliever. How can you be worse than an unbeliever when you know an unbeliever going to be in the lake because he doesn't believe?
Yeah, yeah.
We are first to support our families. We do, and when we don't, we make the word of Yah none effect. We're not supposed to be letting your lights and gas get cut off, letting you people losing their house and their car, people going in debt.
Yeah, they are.
Yah's will is not for us to be in debt. Like having credit cards, it's a never-ending cycle. It's like a debt. Like when I got rid of my credit card, I cut it up every time you go in the store. Well, would you like to apply for a JC? No, I don't want to apply for nothing because I'm trying to get rid of y'all now. It's a debt. Credit cards is a debt. It's assigned by the enemy to keep you in constant debt, and you never pay it off. You just miss very few people that I know. Most of the time, it's you think you're rich when you get a credit card. But you're supposed to take care of your family. You're not supposed to be going in debt, letting your lights and gas get cut off, losing your house. I mean, I've known people who was giving up everything.
Yeah.
And when they lost it all, pastor told them, I don't do that. Well, we can't help you. Okay, well, what did you take my tithes for?
Right.
First of all, before Preena give her testimony, I also want to talk about when you go to Acts chapter 4, verses 34 and 35, it talks about it speaks about there not being anyone among us having a need.
Mm-hmm. If
you could get Acts chapter 4, Preena, verse 34 and 35, while I'm still speaking, so I'm
okay.
That. Acts 4, 34 through 35. He speaks of us not that there be none among us that have a need, that everyone is being taken care of because we're looking out for one another. In Hebrews chapter 7, and I'm going to read that quickly while Preena get that one.
I have it.
You have it already? Ready. Go ahead and read it.
Okay, and it says, there was no man among them who was lacking, for those who had possessed fields and houses would sell them and brought the price of whatever was sold and laid them at the feet of the apostles, and it was distributed to each according as any had need.
See? Do you hear that? He said there was no one among them that had a need. That's what they should be using. If you're going to collect the tithes, there should be no one in your congregation that has a need. There should be nobody in your congregation that has a need. No one should be coming to you talking about my life getting cut off. Why? Because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with it. You're the one that's robbing them. These pastors, they think that they're supposed to sit up and be lazy while you sit up and make them rich, and they living in mansions and driving around Creflo Dollar talking about he need a jet. How much did he was asking for? How many millions of dollars?
Yeah, for a jet.
Get money from the poor people. Shame on him. And then trying to justify it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're supposed to be working. You're a man. He said if a man don't work, you don't eat. And then you around here and don't come talking about the ox treading the corn. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Because first of all, you are not trying to feed his people. You are not feeding. You getting fat while the people are over here looking like they need somebody, like somebody in Africa that need a commercial. Over here, we're not eating. We're not getting fat. Pastor the one over here fat.
Yeah.
They lying to the people. And I wish our people would wake up. If you know somebody they need to hear this message, please, when this is recorded. But, and I'm praying that nothing happens with this because of the fact that, it was interrupted.
Yeah.
But Hebrews chapter 7, verses 9 through 12 says, and through Abraham, as one may say, even Levi who receives the tithe. I'm going to read that again. Even Levi who receives the tithe. You have to be a Levitical priest. So next time Pastor Porkchop asks you about tithing, ask him, are you a Levitical priest?
Yeah.
They're the only ones. Oh, that's right. The law done away with. You probably don't know nothing about that, do you?
Yes.
He said was himself tithe. Verse 10, for he was yet in his father's loins when Melchizedek met him. Reading verse 11. If therefore perfection had been reached by the Levitical priesthood, which we know it wasn't because they corrupted it, by which the Torah was enacted for the people, what further need was there for another priest to rise after the order of Melchizedek? Otherwise, the scriptures would have said that he would be after the order of Aaron. But there is a change in the priesthood. Here we go. What change in the priesthood? There was a change of a need for a change of the priesthood. There was a necessity for a change. Also in the Torah, what happened? Who is now our high priest? Go to verse 15. And it is still more abundantly clear because he said that another priest would rise according to the order of Melchizedek, who has not become so according to a law of a fleshly command, but according to the power of life which abides forever. For it is testified, you are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. And the change which took place in the former law was made on account of its weakness and because it had fulfilled its usefulness. For the Levitical law perfected nothing. Levitical law, not the law, the Torah, but the Levitical law perfected nothing, but a bringing in of a better hope through which we draw near to Yah, and he confirmed it for us by an oath. So, go down to verse 22. All these things make a better covenant because Yeshua is its surety. And these priests were many, but being mortal, they are prevented from continuing because of death. But this one, because he is immortal, he has the priesthood which remains forever. He was talking about Yahushua, our Messiah. And from this, he is able to save forever those who come to Yah through him, because he lives forever to intercede on their behalf. For this is the kind of high priest proper for us. Yeshua is now our high priest. That was the change of the Levitical priesthood. Yeshua is now our high priest. It is not binding to tithe. anymore today. And first of all, they're doing it incorrectly because it was never money. Our high priest now is Yeshua. Yeshua can't take the priest because the tithes. Why? Because he is from the tribe of what? Judah.
Mm-hmm.
He's not from the tribe of Levi. It said our Hebrew Messiah rose from the tribe of Judah.
Mm-hmm.
He can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
He can't take it. There's a change. So there was a necessity because they corrupted the priesthood. It was changed. Mm-hmm. He came, there arrives another priest. How come Pastor don't read this?
Yeah.
The tithes are done away with.
Yeah.
Yeshua is not our high priest.
Yeah.
So, Prina, I want you to share your testimony. So what happened with your mother and your grandmother, and then we're gonna tell you about what happened here in Detroit with the mega church here, and you're actually gonna hear because we're gonna play the audio clip where they basically disrupted the service because of the amount of tithes they were asking. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and share as far as what happened.
Okay, so my mother, we were into truth, and so we were at a Hebrew or Hebraic congregation, and my mother finances started to change, and so she tithed, but it wasn't, what she used to tithe, and so the pastor came there and asked her basically, what happened to the tithes? Why is she not tithing like she normally does? Because the tithe that she knew that my mother was a faithful tither, and so not assisting to see if she needed some financial assistance, but to see when is she going to receive her increase again. And it was just appalling because we coming in the truth, like, wow, you getting faced with this from a pastor that's supposed to know the truth. Also, when my another situation when my grandmother, she belonged to this congregation since I was a babe. And my uncle passed away a couple of years ago, and my grandmother, I believe, was in her 80s at the time, and she went to this, her church, to ask to have her son funeral at the church. And since my grandmother, wasn't coming as much because she had a stroke and she couldn't walk there anymore, because my grandmother was very active. She always walked to church. It was not about around a couple of blocks over from her house. And, after a couple of strokes, she stopped attending. And they said, well, since you don't attend anymore and you're not tithing anymore, you can't have your son's funeral here. Wow. And she had been there like over 50-some years.
Yeah. That's hurtful.
Yes, it was hurtful because my cousin actually was a pastor. He became a pastor over that church, so it put the family in an uproar.
Too.
Yeah, especially for him not speaking on her behalf and going along with the foolishness of that. So those were
what happened. This is what happens when you they're all with you, gun ho, as long as you're paying that money. Then when they start saying, wait a minute, Pastor Benz is he might be in danger of having a payment this week or to paying for that mansion. Then they like, okay, let's find out who haven't been given. Because trust me, they have a system set up where they know. Paying how much you're paying and if you're doing it on a regular basis. They don't care if you're missing Bible study. They're not calling you about missing Bible study. They're calling you if you missing class. Oh, you haven't been in you haven't been in church lately. Yeah, that's how they try to act like they care. But really what they're talking about is like, what about them tithes? You gonna pay back tax, like they say, the back taxes.
Yeah.
The back tax.
Right. wait, just one thing. Before you go into the new era Detroit, I was scrolling through my news feed. I'm barely on Facebook, but yesterday this hit my news feed, and it was a 92-year-old woman. Her name was Josephine King, and she was actually kicked out of her church, which was the first African Baptist church in Bainbridge, Georgia, for not paying her tithes. 92.
Wow.
92. She was kicked out of her church.
Where's the honor at that? Where's the honor?
Yes. Okay. And her nephew went to the news because, according to her nephew, Gerald Simmons, she was sick and shut in for several months. And during that time, she received a letter from the senior pastor, his name was Derek Mike, and which stated that in the letter, it stated that she no longer was considered a member for non-support towards the church in the areas of consistent and constant financial and physical participation.
Wow.
So since she
wow.
Yes, she received a letter stating that she's no longer a member of the church because she was basically in noncompliance with their tithing system.
Wow.
And and he said that he was, and so was she. She was, basically appalled because here I am, her nephew was saying that she was active in the church. She always tithed. She always participated, and she's sick and shut in. Not that they was concerned that she didn't attend the church. They didn't even go out to see if why she's not coming to church. Your first thing is somebody is missing, and you haven't seen them in months, and they're actively in church. Your first thing should be the concern of her health.
Yeah.
You don't know if she passed away. You don't know what happened to her. You just going along saying we gonna send her a letter and tell her she no longer a church member because she ain't paid her tithes. And it's just appalling. And it makes me, it burns me up. And I'm glad I'm in truth. And what people need to remember that, Yah told us to come out of the church system, come out of her. My people, are you going to receive the plagues of the harlot, And so, he don't dwell in the temples made by hand. He ain't there. Not with all them idols and witchcraft that they, in the rebellion teachings that they're, he ain't there. Come out, lead a system, and because you're not getting fed there anyway. Half of you sitting up in the church, you not even being fed. You looking to be fed, because I know I was, trying to get fed. I was in and out of church, didn't know what church to go to, because my spirit was not being fed.
No.
And so, eventually I just stopped going to church altogether, and y'all let me. And that's what we need. Follow, use his teaching and instruction. That's your church. That's no guidance.
Yeah.
That's everything. And so I had to say that because it was burning me to say that.
Oh yeah, no, it needed to be said. I'm gonna play this brief clip.
Okay.
For those who did not hear. Did not see on the news. It's been all over.
Yes.
In regards to a mega church here, Greater Faith Ministry, pastored by Wayne T. Jackson, New Era Detroit, and what happened when they attended one of their services. They ambushed it. We're gonna listen to it, and I want to come because I have a few things I want to say about what happened and why I think it happened, and then we're gonna come back.
Well, there's no peace in this house of worship. New Era Detroit stages a protest that turns into a brawl. That video right there has since gone viral.
Now, this is the same church that recently hosted Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. But this protest is about more than just politics. Fox News' Randy Wimley live now with the exclusive story. Randy.
Yeah, guys, this has a lot more to do than just politics. New Era Detroit, they call it church accountability. Taking congregations to task for not serving the community, in their estimation, as those churches should. They say something doesn't add up when a pastor makes a lot of money, drives a luxury car, and yet the people who live near his church are in poverty. A scuffle inside the sanctuary after New Era Detroit protests during a worship service.
Let me go, man. Let's go.
Zeke, the leader of the group, offered no apologies for the dust-up at Great Faith Ministries Saturday, only the reasoning behind it.
This situation is bigger than just Wayne T. Jackson. This is about black churches and black pastors who live a lavish life on behalf of the people, and they're not giving back to their community.
He's referring to Bishop Wayne T. Jackson, the wealthy pastor that welcomed Donald Trump, drives a Rolls Royce, and lives in a mansion. Zeke was there for the offering Saturday.
When they started the offering at $1,000, and then they said if you don't got $1,000, then do $300. And if you don't got cash, then we got ATM machines. I don't understand that logic. I don't understand that way of thinking, and I don't understand that to be what religion is.
New Era Detroit says the neighborhood surrounding Great Faith Ministries is by and large impoverished.
This guy has networks, churches, fancy cars, you know what I mean, $1 million houses, and there's babies in this community that's going without food at night. Somebody has to be frustrated about this enough to do something that will get people's attention, and that's what New Era Detroit did.
Here's the thing. Pick up the phone. Call. Right. I want to talk to you, Apostle. Right. Apostle's a very fair man. He would meet with you. He would talk to you. What's your issue? But to do it that way, that is so disrespectful.
And members of Great Faith Ministries say New Era Detroit has their church and their pastor all wrong.
Our bishop give away homes, cars.
They say he's an astute businessman. Juanita Kinney says he's one with a heart of gold.
And when he found out that I didn't have anywhere to live, within an hour he was calling me back, telling me to go and look at an apartment. And because of that, and because of the love from him and his wife, I now have my own place.
You should talk to people that he's hired. Ex-cons, people that were in prison. He's done so much work for this community. They're homes that he's bought and gave to people. But Zeke don't know that.
Many feel New Era Detroit crossed the line and violated a sacred space. They even drew comparisons to Dylan Roof, the man who walked into a church service and gunned down 9 people in Charleston, South Carolina.
They can't come in here and think they're going to take over our service, have our women and children, mothers up in here terrified, and they're talking about that they are out there protecting the community. Right. This is a community up in here.
Yeah, that's right. Hindsight is 2020. Given all this being said, would you do it all over again?
Absolutely. We would definitely do it all over again. Would we tweak something? Absolutely. We would probably tweak up a few things and change it, but going back, no. We would definitely go in there again, and they better get their act together because we just might be back.
Even so, the leader of New Era Detroit says he is open to having a sit-down with Bishop Wayne T. Jackson and the pastors of other churches that New Era Detroit has protested. Stay tuned. Hugh, Taryn?
Well, Randy, I mean, $1,000 is a lot of money to ask for an offering, but you said about a conversation, but what does the New Era group want the bishop to do, and what do they plan to do if he doesn't?
Well, you heard just in that last soundbite, they may show up here again. We don't know if that's going to happen, but he said that that's something that they're definitely open to. But New Era Detroit, they say they want to see churches doing more to better serve and improve the living conditions of the communities in which those churches are in. And so this is a story that raises a lot of questions about the function of a church. What does a local congregation owe the community that it's in? And so New Era Detroit, they're definitely raising that issue. They say there are some churches that are doing a good job of this, but in their estimation, there are many that are not, Great Faith Ministries being one of them.
It is certainly interesting because we know he's not the only rich preacher out there. So obviously more to come on this one. Thanks for
May God be the judge of your actions.
If I was just people, we just left Bishop Jackson church, and we went in there. We were very displeased about the current situation. Not only him letting Donald Trump come to our community. Just in general, his rhetoric as a preacher. This is about the people. All this is about the people. The people are very displeased at the black churches, some of the black churches, especially these mega churches. But we not standing for that no more. And if we continue to allow the churches to continue to do the things that they're doing and get away with it, then what does that say for our community and the future of our youth in the churches?
I'm just flabbergasted in regards to this reaction, from the people that was actually in the congregation itself, how they were volatile as soon as we said all power to the people. This is people of Christian and people of faith and peace and love. And, well, that's what it's supposed to be, but the first reaction is chant all power to the people. They Bible. Even if you felt that we were in the wrong, hypothetically, is your first reaction is violence? Because we didn't come in there violent. We didn't come in there to be violent. We came in there to hold the pastor accountable. It's already a big issue that if you look at the city of Detroit, which is over 40%, 39% of the population is impoverished. You're talking about people who making less than $11,000 per household in income. You're talking about a place that's almost 3 times the national rate of unemployment. You're talking about a place that's being gentrified. You're talking about a place where the education level is poor. You're talking about all these things, and here you are with an abundance of wealth, getting $1,000 of donations, and inviting known racist bigots to the city of Detroit, and then you have a problem with us holding you accountable. To me, it's just crazy. And the congregation within it seem as though they have some kind of violent act as well. I just don't understand the hypocrisy behind it.
Let me go, man. Let's go. Bro, let me go, man. You ain't got a man handle me like this. Think I got that man? No, let me go. Let me go. No, you ain't got to touch me, man.
All right, I had to stop because, it was just you could hear all of the fighting. I mean, if you actually see the video, you can actually go on YouTube and they will, you can just Google in New Era Movement, ambushed or shuts down, Great Faith Ministries, that's the name of the church, with Pastor Wayne T. Jackson, and you can see it for yourself. I mean, there was fighting. I mean, for one, we're definitely not condoning violence.
Yes.
No. We're definitely not condoning violence because he tells you in your anger, sin not. And so I do not believe that they were in order and right for doing it the way that they did it. I understand it. I understand it, but the way they went about it, I'm sure there were children, like you said, there were elderly people in there. They probably scared them half to death. There is a way you can do things, but he said that they did not go in there violent. They came in, I guess they wanted to ask, but you can't stand up, and this is how it is. There is no such thing in the Christian church as standing up and asking the pastor anything. Especially in the middle of a service, you're not. They're not going to allow you to do that. But I do believe it. I don't know if you saw the video where the man got thrown out of the church because he was asking the pastor during the service about the law.
I saw that one.
He threw him out. He was trying to tell him who he were, and they was rebuking him. He was of the devil. The way that they went about it, I don't think that was right, but I understand it. People just listening to the reasons why, they're rebelling. You're in a community that's impoverished, and you're, like he said, you're asking for $1,000 offering. You know what I'm saying? And then if you don't have that, then here's a $300 line. Now, where is this at in Scripture?
Nowhere.
You're not asking for 10%, 20%. You're asking, like, some people don't even make their check is not even $1,000. So what is it? You're asking for more than even y'all required. they're rebelling. People are starting to rebel. The system, the institutionalized church system, people are starting to catch on to the lies of these pastors.
Yeah.
People are leaving the church system in droves. Okay, they're beginning to read for themselves to see what the words say. They're asking questions. Because we're in the age of information. You have no excuse to say, oh, I didn't know, I couldn't find out. You have every avenue put before you in every form to find out about who Yah is and find out the truth. And, people are starting to rebel. They're sick and tired, like he said, of bleeding the people out of their money.
You know,
while you live a lavish life. Yeah, you live in a lavish life, and then these people can barely pay their bills. And, there were people who said that he does help some people that was in the congregation, but for the most part, these pastors are not doing that. Yeah. You don't see the areas. I mean, how many churches we see on every corner preaching about, 3?
Oh, goodness. You pass by so many.
Yes, and all the areas that you see, it to me, if you have all these churches, like 3 on every corner, the neighborhoods and the community should be in a much better shape because, like he said, there was not one among them in Acts 4 that had a need. Everything was distributed. That's not what's going on. They're actually taking money and they're robbing the people. They're the ones that are the robbers. I can't say this enough. The people who are actually doing the robbing, according to Malachi chapter 1 and 2, it's the priests. It's the pastors. It's not you. Stop feeling sorry and being guilty if you don't have the money. If you choose to give an offering or a love offering you want to give because you feel that a certain ministry or a teacher, is blessing you and you feel that you are learning and you're growing in your spiritual walk because of them or because of that organization or that teaching ministry or that assembly, then you are welcome if you decide that you all want to come together and support that ministry so that it can stay afloat. You're welcome to do that. Just don't call it a tithe. Then that would not be considered a tithe. That would be considered an offering in that case. Because there are people who are doing things, and we've had people email us that say they want to make donations because we've been a blessing. Now, we didn't accept it. It wouldn't have been wrong if we wanted to, but they were actually wanting to give an offering. We've had conferences, and then afterwards people wanted to bless us with an offering because of the conference. I just never take money because I just don't feel right taking money because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. I don't believe in charging people. We're not supposed to be charging for the word. Yeah. That's not my motivation. That's not why we do what we do. But if you feel like you want to bless someone because they have been a blessing, or if you have a local church or congregation or assembly that meets, and let's say, they're meeting in a building, and they need to pay, a certain amount to stay in that place or to rent it, and if everybody want to come together to give whatever they can to make sure that you have a place to stay, then that's fine. I mean, when I first went earlier in the walk, back in 2009, I remember going somewhere. Remember when we were going when Lakita had her church? Remember? Yeah. Lakita had her church, but she taught. And she was having it in a building, and I think they had to pay, because I think she had it for 2 hours, and I think she had to pay $40 every week to have her class there. And we all pitched in. Now, $40 is not a lot, a week, and we all were coming, and we were growing, and we were learning, and there were a lot of us that was coming, so we each could have just given $1 or $2 a piece, so that she can, keep the building to rent, to have the classes, so that we can continue to grow. There's nothing wrong with that, but she never called it a tithe. People just supported because they wanted to continue to learn. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't call it a tithe. Don't tell somebody you got to give this amount. Or you stand in this $300,000 line and then make the people who cannot afford that feel bad or feel like they're robbing God or not serving Him, or they're going to be cursed because they can't stand the $1,000 line. Tithing today is not scriptural. Plain and simple.
Yeah, you're going to be cursed.
Yeah, you're going to be the one that's cursed because you are illegally robbing the people. The priesthood has changed. There is no more Levitical priesthood. Okay,
No.
There was a necessity for it to change. Yeshua is now a high priest. He is from the tribe of Judah. He can't even receive it. Paul was from the tribe of Judah. He could not receive it. Okay, Benjamin, which is from the southern, when I say Judah, I mean from the house of Judah, the southern kingdom. He still wasn't Levi. He could not receive the tithes. You had to be a Levitical priest. There's no more temple. There were specific stipulations on how they had to be done, and it's stated in Numbers 18. Again, the tithes was used to support and feed the Levites who had no inheritance. They didn't have a land. The other tribes were given land. They weren't because they were in charge of the priesthood. It was used to support the Levites, again, who had no inheritance. It was also used for the poor, the fatherless, and the foreigner, which is a stranger, and the widows. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 27 through 29. It was unlawful for anyone outside of the tribe of Levi to receive the tithes, such as these prophets and teachers that do it today. Again, it was never money, and I'm recapping because we're getting ready to close out.
Yeah.
But it was never money, but it was rather food, agriculture, and herd, even the livestock, the grain, all of this is in Deuteronomy chapter 14. The tithes was not weekly, but it was once a year off the increase of the land from the farm owners only. So if you didn't own no land, you didn't do it. You was exempt.
Yeah.
And again, the tithes was assessed on the increase only. If you didn't have an increase, you didn't give. And again, it was meant to be shared, not given to the pastor for his own individual salary. Only the Levites, the Levitical priests. The Levitical priests were those who were the descendants of Aaron. They were the only one that could take the tithes.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeshua, again, he didn't take no tithes. He didn't take it. He wasn't from Levi.
Yeah.
So if your pastor's taking and telling you tithes are mandatory, and they're not, first of all, they're not Levitical priests, and even if they were, which we know these Hebrews over here, majority of them are Judah that came with them dispersed over here, okay?
Yes.
You out of order, and you need to stop it.
Yeah.
So I hope we have brought some understanding today. I'm just going to quickly open up the line if anyone has any questions. Star 6 on your phone. Quickly press star 6 on your phone if you do have a question. One question I want to read, those who are continuing to take the tithes, they're teaching the tithes, if you believe in this, please, since you know the truth today, be free from it. He said you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Be free from that, knowing that you do not have to tithe in weekly tithes and go broke and go in debt. If you want to support the ministry of that church, then give an offering of what it is that you can afford and what you're willing to give. But make sure you take care of your household first. But the penalty, and I read this 2 weeks ago, and I read it today, and I'm reading it again, the penalty for those who become stumbling blocks and lead others astray. Matthew 13:41, it says, the Son of Man will send forth his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all stumbling blocks and those who commit lawlessness. And when you continue on, they're going to be taken and put in the fire to be burned. He's not playing around.
Yeah.
We have a caller from area code 954. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, how are you?
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm good. I was just listening, and I didn't know anything about what happened in Detroit.
So really? Who are we speaking with?
But when you, Joanne.
Oh, hi, Sister Joanne.
Hi, how you doing? But when you mentioned it, I turned it on. I went on to YouTube and I saw a little bit of it, but it just made me a little excited because I feel like this is a way that the Most High is going to really wake up His people.
Yeah,
because
I believe so.
It's been going on for so long, and for this to happen, I'm just like, He's really, really, really trying to wake us up and prepare us for what's about to come, because it's no way that we can keep, believing the lies that they teach us, in these churches, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, I used to go to church as soon as the doors opened. I was there. I was giving of myself monetarily, doing everything that I could for the church. I used to be really excited about the church. But then when I had started fasting and praying because I just knew something was wrong, and I think I told you ladies this before, that the Most High really just opened up my eyes to let me know that these churches aren't right and we need to come out of them. So that's what I did, and it's been since 2014.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about what's going on because I think we're in the Great Awakening period right now.
Yeah, we are. I mean, and I totally agree with you 100% that he's doing something. He's shaking up some things. He's bringing attention, and they probably were being used to bring attention to those that are his that may be stuck in this because this has gone, like I said, viral. Like people are seeing this all over. This is going to start bringing attention, to the deception that is going on in these churches, and hopefully people will begin to open up their Bibles and read and find out what the truth says concerning this. There's no way that you can honestly believe that Yah wants you to stand in a $1,000 line. And half of these people probably don't even make $1,000. Some of them may not even make $1,000 in 1 month.
Right.
Let alone. So I definitely believe this is going to bring attention to it, and I hope it brings attention to it in a way where people will begin to come out of these whorehouses that they churches.
Yeah, getting pimped by the pastor.
Yeah.
Yep.
But see, the problem is a lot of us, we don't read for ourselves. We sit up under the church and we look into the pastor's eyes and we believe every word that he says. But in the word it says that we have to study to show ourselves approved, which most people, I'm going to say a vast majority of our people don't. And, I mean, it's so evident because if they did, they would understand and they would see if they read, especially Deuteronomy 28. If they read the word and they really studied, they would see that this is not lining up with what the pastors are teaching us.
First of all, they wouldn't be there on Sunday. That's number one. They won't be there on Sunday. They will be worshiping the Father on his set apart day. That's number one. They wouldn't be in the churches, and they won't be deceived with the tithes, But, with everybody out here trying to spread truth and opening their eyes, I pray that they would receive this message and come out of the whore and seek the Most High for themselves.
Yeah, I know some people probably think, this is blasphemy, or this is unheard of, and this and that. Some people will take it in a different way. Some will say, I know the world's coming to an end, but they'll look at it as a negative way of saying people are against the church. But some people, the Most High, I believe, will really touch their minds and let them understand, look, this is something going on. This isn't right, and you guys, it's time for you to wake up.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will be used. And, a lot of people, and I'm not condoning the way that it was.
Yeah, I don't like the way they did it. They didn't approach it the right way.
Yeah.
They did not.
I understand why it was done, but sometimes Yah will use those to bring attention, because if he's not getting it one way, he may have to bring some attention to it in a way that might not be in a good light. And maybe our people our people need to be shaken up to the point where maybe they open up their Bibles and see this doesn't make sense, because I'm sure there had to be people sitting in there like, okay, I'm in this $1,000 line. $1,000. And what if you didn't have $300? It's just people, and then some people may not have had it to give, but because they didn't want to sit there and look like they weren't giving it all, could have been giving away gas money or light money or half of their rent or whatever the case may be. So, we're praying and hopeful that, and I'm going to try to end this so that I can be within the parameters, but thank you, Sister Joanne, for calling. And next week, right? And so next week you're gonna be on to share your testimony.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Remember in the Bible when Yahushua came into the temple, and he was very displeased with what was going on, and he turned the table.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So a lot of times we see it as a negative thing because we're saying, oh, this is a place of worship, but is it really a place of worship?
Yes, yeah. You know what? That's a good
it's not a place of worship.
No.
Yes.
Because it's a whorehouse.
No, it's not.
Because he went in and turned the tables over because they were buying and selling. Yes, I totally forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that point up. Well, I totally forgot about that.
That's because the Ruach HaKodesh, put that in my spirit immediately after you said that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I'm glad you just brought that one up. Yes. Is it a place? It's a whorehouse. So is it a place of worship? Even though our people think that it is.
Yeah.
But, this may have been something that he ordained to happen because this minister, first of all, and this minister is the same one as stated in the video that had Donald Trump come to the church. He was the one that hosted Donald Trump. And then what was the other thing I told you?
He ordained other bishops by laying on their back on their butts and their backside.
Yeah, laying on top of men.
Laying on top of men. Yes.
Yeah, and yes. Yeah, you can see it if you look up that on YouTube, you can see that too. That same pastor ordaining bishops, so-called bishops in his church, laying on top of them, on men, laying up on top of men. This stuff comes from Catholicism. I was very disturbed by seeing it. I'm like, where in the world do you find this foolishness in the scriptures? And then he's also the one that does a lot of slaying in the spirit, which we know is demonic. And so this is the same pastor in the same church where these gentlemen came in. It became violent because the people that were there started attacking them. They disagreed with the way that they were, bleeding the people.
Yeah, they felt disrespected.
They felt disrespected. Yeah, but people are getting tight. So y'all probably want to bring attention to it, but pretty much. But we're gonna end it out with prayer. And Sister Joanne, thank you so much for calling in. And thank you for sharing and bringing up that last point because I totally forgot about when Yeshua turned the tables over because they were buying and selling in the temple. Yes, thank you. They're making a merchandise out of
the church, which they doing. They do that now, selling dinners and
selling abominable pork dinners. And catfish
book
dinners,
sales and
selling
all
books,
kind of
all
stuff.
kind of lies and untruths. So you're right. This was not really a place of worship. It was a whorehouse. So, but thank you for calling in, and we look forward to hearing your testimony next week.
Shabbat
Shalom.
for having me.
Shabbat shalom.
And ladies, I love you. I
love you too.
See you later.
Thank you so much, and then share this video when it's available. So we see Satan was busy today trying to cut us off. I was praying that everyone didn't get cut off because I'm like, cut off and Prina. I'm like, that never happens.
I know either I'll be on or you still be on. Also, Shaitan, remember Wayne T is also the one that met with Messer.
Yeah, he's the one that was he? Did he meet? Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot to tell you. Yeah, when I first came into this truth, and this is a minister also who knows the truth. This same minister of this church that this happened at, the same one who just recently invited Donald Trump to come into the church, the same one who was sitting up here ordaining grown men, laying on top of each other, saying this is a part of a ordaining service, which can be found nowhere in Scripture. It comes from Catholicism. This is also the same minister, and believe me when I tell you, I know because I was sitting right next to him. He knows the truth of who we are, that we are the chosen people of the Bible. He knows this because he was sitting right there with me, and he has kept this. I don't know if he has told his congregation that they are, but he does know the truth. I'm going to tell you that. He does know the truth. And so my prayer is, he's starting to shut these pastors, shutting up his house. He's taking up some things, and he is starting to expose these pastors, and you're going to start seeing the curses come on them. They're gonna probably, just like what Bishop I'm not even calling him no Bishop.
Eddie
Eddie
Long.
He's getting ready to start making an example of these ministers, so-called ministers that are making a mockery of him and his word, and who are deceiving his people. He calls them deceivers.
Yeah, false prophets.
False prophets. And so, we are just here pleading with you all today. If you know anyone who is faithfully tithing, who's spending their money, the life savings, and they do not know the truth, please share this video today when it is available, probably most likely first thing in the morning, that it will be available via the YouTube Daughter Yah channel. And we want to thank everyone who listened in and hung in with us today, and those of you who are listening now after it is recorded. We continue to say thank you to everyone who comment on all of our YouTube shows after they're uploaded, who say that we have been a blessing. You know, I woke up this morning to Sister Danielle Carter. If she's listening, we want to say thank you to you. You were so encouraging to Prina and I, letting us know and encouraging us and continuing to do Yah's will. And just, you know, so many people, everyone doesn't listen when we go live, but majority of the people listen, you know, after the fact. She told us she listens while she's cooking, while she's making dinner, while she's on her way to work, just still getting that word in. So we are grateful to everyone who is listening and who Yah has led to us to teach and to lead you to Him, because that's what our ultimate goal is, to lead you to Him. We're not trying to lead anyone to ourselves. So with that being said, I'm going to allow Prina to lead us out with prayer.
Okay. All right, and so I'm coming from 1 Chronicles 29, verses 10 through 13 and 18. And David blessed Yah before the eyes of all the congregation. And David said, "Blessed are you, O Yah, the power of Israel, our Father, forever and ever. To you, O Yah, be the greatness and the power and the high esteem and the victory and the majesty, for all in the heavens and the earth belongs to you. O Yah, yours is the kingdom, and you lift up yourself to all as head. And the riches and honor come before you, and you rule over all. And in your hand is power and might, and it is in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. And now our power, we are giving thanks to you and giving praise to your high esteemed name. O Yah, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers. Keep this forever for the intent of the thoughts of the heart of your people, and prepare their heart toward you. In Yeshua's name, so be it."
In Yeshua's name, so be it. So we want to thank you once again for joining us and listening in.
Yes.
Yah willing, we will be back next week and continue to share some more truth. At some point within the next couple of weeks, I would like to address the scriptures that pastors use to bleed people out of their money. But I just, you know, a lot of lessons I am led in the set-apart spirit. To the brother who wants me to do a lesson on interracial marriage and dating, I'm just, at this point, I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, or if I am. I'm just being led of the Most High concerning that, because I know there's a lot of confusion. We do know what the law has said about that, but we're all mixed right now since we came over here from slavery. And Yah is merciful, but when you do know the truth, you do need to begin to walk in that. So I'm going to have to, I will definitely consider that, and I will be praying on that. And if Yah wills for me to do that, I will do that show. But I want to thank you all for listening, and we just pray that Yah's peace and blessings be upon you, and that we will join you on next week. So with that being said, we just say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.